Chapter 1825. The Divine Realm. Near the Lightning Mountain. The huge divine power vortex immediately attracted the attention of all the gods present. The divine power vortex was too big. Everyone, look. Why is there a divine power vortex out of nowhere? That can't be. The divine power in the passage has always been in balance. Why is the divine power surging toward the lower realm? Did something big happen down there? The divine power vortex is expanding again. One divine sense after another fell on the divine power whirlpool. In a short time, the divine power vortex had expanded a lot, causing the surrounding divine power to riot. This shocked and confused everyone. Not everyone could endure divine power limitlessly. The current situation was obviously abnormal. The news was reported immediately. The divine power continued to flow downward, and the people in charge could not figure out what was going on. Quick, contact the oracles in the lower realm and ask them what happened. The Emperor God hurriedly ordered people to contact the oracles in the lower realm. It was definitely not normal for divine power to be continuously absorbed. The 8 Emperor Gods in charge naturally had to find out. After all, they had calculated the opening of the passage of the gods and the absorption of divine power. My lord, bad news. We can't contact the oracles. We have lost contact with the oracles. The expressions of the Emperor Gods in charge changed. The oracles in the lower realm were all peak 9 stars god kings. They were the strongest in the lower realm. Who could fight against them? Why couldn't they contact them? My lord, bad news. The oracles have fallen. Not long after, another shocking piece of news came, and their expressions changed drastically. The oracles had fallen? What kind of joke was this? Were there still some experts in the lower realm? It might not have been a big deal if one oracle had fallen, but after 8 oracles had fallen, the 8 Emperor Gods in charge realized that something had happened in the lower realm. Send someone down immediately and find out what's going on. After some discussion, they decided to send more oracles down. They had to find out what had happened in the lower realm. They didn't want to wait until the Emperor Gods appeared. This feels great. Outside the passage of the gods, Lin Fei was sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed. He was feeling great. The continuous influx of divine power was even more comfortable than drinking honey. Whether it was the warship or the divine power in his body, the divine power that he had consumed was replenished. In other words, Lin Fei could go on a rampage again. With the help of the system, Lin Fei did not face any obstacles in absorbing divine power. He could absorb it at any time without any upper limit. Master, someone is coming down, the little devil suddenly reminded. For the time being, Lin Fei had no idea what was going on in the passageway of the Legion of Gods. Therefore, he arranged for the little fiend devil to keep an eye on the passageway of the Legion of Gods and inform him if anything happened. Lin Fei leaped up onto the battleship and looked up at the passageway of the Legion Gods. They came so quickly, but I like it. The warship changed directions and aimed its black cannons at the passage of the gods. Another 8 divine emissaries descended. But this time, they had all descended from the passage of the gods. Seriously, what kind of experts can appear in the lower realms, forcing us to come down? This place is not comfortable at all. The 8 divine emissaries came out of the passage of the gods one after another, their hearts full of complaints. They felt that this was making a mountain out of a molehill. Damn, what is this? There's a dangerous aura, it's aimed at us. As soon as they appeared, they saw a huge creature aiming at them, and their minds became restless. Welcome, everyone, to my territory. Boom, boom, boom. As soon as he finished speaking, the battleship opened fire. With the passage of the gods as a backup, the battleship had endless supplies. The cannons in the front row all opened up, and a sky full of destructive light beams shot out. Not good, we've been ambushed. The divine emissaries were used to being high and mighty. How could they have realized that someone from the lower realms was ambushing them? Mere people from the lower realms dare to ambush us? Damn it! One of the divine emissaries disdainfully charged through the air, but was instantly hit by the light beams. His tyrannical body was riddled with holes, and his defensive armor was destroyed. The divine emissaries would never forget this scene. Powerful as they were being attacked by a strange battleship. The armor that they were so proud of, as well as their defensive treasures, were destroyed by the enemy's attack. Beams of light bombarded their bodies, piercing through their tyrannical divine bodies, leaving behind scars. They couldn't even retaliate. In less than a moment, their faces were filled with fear. Go back. We can't hold on anymore. I want to go back. However, how could Lin Fei let them go back? The light beams ignored their defenses, and their tyrannical divine bodies were riddled with holes. After struggling for a while, they were blasted into pieces by the battleship. After all, no matter how strong they could not replenish their god force in time. It was normal for them to be blasted to death. How satisfying! Lin Fei lost count of the number of cannons he had fired. He only knew that he had used up 20% of the god force he had stored. Lin Fei put away the God King grade Godhead and sat cross-legged on the battleship again, absorbing god force as he waited for the next batch of God Kings to appear. When the disciples of the 8 major sects saw the divine envoys reappear, a glimmer of hope rose in their hearts. However, they were greatly disappointed. The 8 divine envoys were killed once again. They looked at Di Tian with an expression of extreme fear. From now on, these people would only be able to cultivate like this. Outside the God Thunder Mountain, the people in charge of the 8 God Emperors were paying attention to the situation, hoping that the divine emissaries would report the situation. The God Force whirlpool is absorbing crazily again. The God Force whirlpool that had stopped earlier began to draw in God Force again. A trace of unease arose in their hearts. Lord, it's not good. The divine emissaries we sent down have fallen. Someone came to report immediately. This time, their expressions really became ugly. Impossible, they just went down. Who could kill them in such a short time? Is there a mistake? They could not believe it was true. Send again. No matter how strong that person in the lower realm is, his combat power is only at the peak of 9 stars God King realm. The heavenly axiom does not allow the appearance of a godly venerable. I don't believe that person in the lower realm can recover so quickly. It had to be said that this was a good idea. The second batch of divine emissaries was sent down. This time there were 16 divine emissaries. They believed that it would be enough this time. Less than an hour after they went down, bad news came again. Chapter 1826. The Tomb of the God of Sin Battlefield. At this moment, the Tomb of the God of Sin Battlefield had become the domain of the other side. The 7 overlords and the strongest races, who were unwilling to leave, finally realized what true strength was. They were so strong that they could take care of the gods' envoys wave after wave. How many waves has it been? It seems to be the 12th wave. Hundreds of oracles have fallen on the battlefield of the Tomb of the God of Sin. Di Tian is too terrifying. With that terrifying worship, no matter how many divine emissaries come, they will all fall on this battlefield. They all saw it very clearly. For example, right now, another group of oracles had arrived. As soon as these divine envoys descended, they were immediately attacked by the terrifying warships. The densely packed beams of light caused their scalps to go numb. No matter how tyrannical their defense was, in front of this attack, it was useless. Even the divine emissary had been killed, let alone them. The strongest? Their faces were filled with bitter smiles. Perhaps Di Tian was the strongest person right now. As long as Di Tian guarded the passage of the gods, the oracles from the upper realm who came down from the upper realm would die. This was not a joke at all, it was a fact. Di Tian had finally witnessed something that he would never have dared to imagine normally. Only Dtion was capable of guarding the passageway of the gods and killing God's envoys all by himself. Before an expert surpassing the God King stage descended, Dtion would be the strongest existence. The 7 overlords started to hesitate. Should they choose to lower their heads? If they could go to the passageway of the gods, they would definitely be able to break through their current realms and become mighty god kings. They did not dare to rashly go over, especially the Sunluo overlord and the others. At this moment, he was completely convinced. The 8 powerhouses were swept clean, and they even personally killed the upper realm's god envoys. They would not dare to do such a cruel thing even if they were given 100 gut. Now that the path to advancement was in Dtion's hands, they had no choice but to start considering it. Going against Dtion? They no longer had such thoughts. Even if they advanced to the God King realm, they would not be able to block the attack of a battleship that was similar to a battle fort. They did not see the god emissary being smashed into pieces the moment he came down. However, they were unwilling to leave just like that. Wait a little longer. Is there grass growing in the brains of those guys up there? On the warship, Lin Fei was amused. "Milord," Yang Qi said, "they're really full of shit. They're trying to get them to come down here and use up your strength. But they never would have guessed that as long as the passageway of the gods is open, you won't even need to use your strength." Lin Yi flattered. During these days, he had also been absorbing divine power, and his strength had also broken through to the 7-star Divine King realm. Lin Fei had occupied the passage of the gods for a few days now. The higher-ups kept sending divine emissaries down, as if they wanted to waste time with him. Lin Fei quite liked this method. As long as a batch came down, they would be smashed to pieces. Even so, the higher-ups kept sending god kings down, as if they were prepared to fight a war of attrition with him. Since they like this, I'll continue playing with them. Let's see who has a headache. Lin Fei didn't care. Although the warship's divine power was maintained at around 70%, he was very satisfied. By the way, Master, the leaders of the 7 overlords and the strongest races are still around. Should we capture them? Lin Yi asked. No need. Lin Fei shook his head. They all have the support of the higher realm. There's no need to offend them. My current enemies are the 8 god emperors. Lin Fei was very clear that as long as the Godemperor's god envoys came down, the 8 sects would find trouble with him sooner or later. This was needless to say. Reconciliation? That was simply impossible. When the white-robed primal chaos suggested guarding the passageway of the gods, Lin Fei agreed after some thought. Now that he was guarding here, he would kill one if there was one, and then kill 2 if there was a pair. At least he would be able to stop the 8 sects from coming down. The only thing Lin Fei didn't expect was that the benefits of the passageway of the gods weren't just limited to stopping the 8 Godemperor's people from coming down. Lin Fei was very relaxed. But to the people in charge of the divine world, they had a headache. After a few days, they didn't gain anything. As long as someone went down, they would be killed. They couldn't sit still anymore. They reported the news and waited for the higher-ups to deal with it. They really couldn't deal with it. Previously, they planned to waste the other party's energy. However, the people who went down were killed in a short while. In addition, the God Power whirlpool was absorbing God Power crazily. They realized that it wasn't a good thing to continue like this. They had to inform the higher-ups. The 8 God Emperors left after opening the passageway of the gods. They didn't need to care about such a small matter. The lower realm was just a primal chaos. They couldn't do anything. After all, the strength of the lower realm was suppressed by the heavenly Tao. God envoys were enough. When they heard the news, they didn't pay much attention to it. They thought that primal chaos was stopping their people from going down. Among the experts in the lower realm, besides primal chaos, no one else had such strength. This was also what they expected. Primal chaos wouldn't be willing to be captured without a fight. It was certain that he would stop them. If the 8 God Emperors knew that it wasn't primal chaos below, they definitely wouldn't be so indifferent. Instead, they would immediately pay attention to it. They might even check it out personally. This matter was easy to solve. The 8 God Emperors condensed a peak God King attack mark and ordered someone to bring it over. They could directly use it in the lower realm. The divine world didn't lack experts. They didn't lack God King experts either. The 8 God Emperors' orders were simple. They kept sending people down to exhaust primal chaos. The treasures imbued with the attack mark were also mixed in with a God King. As long as they reached the lower realm, they could attack when primal chaos wasn't prepared. It was guaranteed that they would be able to heavily injure primal chaos. This was a good idea. Unfortunately, the person they encountered was Lin Fei. In order to perfect the plan, they sent 7 to 8 waves of God envoys down to confuse primal chaos. When the 9th wave of people went down, there were a total of 8 God Emperors hidden in it. It was to catch primal chaos off guard. Lin Fei was indeed caught off guard. Under normal circumstances, Lin Fei wouldn't pay attention to these God envoys. As long as they came, he would immediately start bombarding them and turn them into beehives. But this time, the moment they came out, they used the God Emperor's imprints in the direction of Lin Fei. The 8 God Emperor's imprints were shocking. They sealed off all directions of Lin Fei. Fatal blow. A true fatal blow. If it were anyone else, they would definitely die on the spot. It was just that this person wasn't Lin Fei. After they used the God Emperor's imprints, although the attack was only at the peak God King level, the Tao contained in it was deeper, and the killing power was greater. Invincible defense was instantly activated. This was Lin Fei's strongest defensive trump card. After expending a large amount of God power, he finally managed to block it. But because of this, he also angered primal chaos, causing a group of God King experts to be blasted into pieces. Chapter 1827. Using the Divine Emperor's mark to attack had infuriated Lin Fei. If it wasn't for his invincible defense, he would have been caught off guard and even killed on the spot. He had to vent his anger. However, in the eyes of others, Di Tian had become even more monstrous. Even an attack that surpassed the peak of the Divine King stage could not kill Di Tian. What was there left to do? He was going to kill as many as he came. They could all feel the terrifying attack of the Divine Emperor's mark. They knew that they did not have the ability to withstand such an attack. However, Di Tian withstood it easily and defeated the other party. He was extremely powerful. Thoughts? At this moment they did not have any thoughts. The disciples of the 8 major sects who were being restrained also calmed down and did not dare to have any thoughts. On the battlefield of the Divine Tomb, Di Tian had become the indomitable number 1 expert. At least, that was what they thought. Even the divine envoys were no match for him, let alone the rest of them. In a certain place in the territory far away, in a sealed space, the white-robed Hun Dun suddenly stopped and let out a smile. Di Tian is really extraordinary. He actually let a few old guys condense a Divine Emperor's mark to kill him. This is really unbelievable. The white-robed Hun Dun was very confident in his judgment. When it really happened, he was even more shocked. The Divine Kings were like ants, easy to kill. Not everyone could block the Divine Emperor's imprint. I've made the right move. The white-robed Hun Dun retracted his gaze and turned to look at the huge stone pillar in the depths of the space. A ray of light flashed. Little guy, just hang in there. Master, are you going to the Divine Realm? Lin Fei had a temper. Just now, the Divine Kings had used the Divine Emperor's mark to launch a sneak attack on him. This had infuriated Lin Fei and made him want to kill his way to the Divine Realm. Of course, they used a sneak attack on me. If I don't teach them a lesson, they'll really think I'm afraid of them. Lin Fei didn't care so much. I'm just asking you, can you send me over? Lin Fei clearly knew that the killing blow just now was definitely not something they could use. The great path contained in it was extremely terrifying, like a supreme king. As long as one was not an idiot, he would be able to determine who did it. Only the 8 supreme deity emperors had the ability to condense such a killing blow. Let me think about it. Lin Fei wasn't in a hurry. Although there was a barrier between the lower realms and the God realm, it wasn't that easy to break through. He believed that the little fiend would have a way. Master, I have an idea. The little devil did not disappoint Lin Fei and quickly came up with a solution. Speak. Master, I've just analyzed the passage of the gods. There's a terrifying aura inside, but it's targeted at godly venerable rank experts. In other words, godly venerable rank experts can't come down. Master is currently a 9-star divine king, so you're within the range where you can move. As long as Master uses up his divine power, I can send you through the passage of the gods. However, you can't stay there for too long. Lin Fei knew that the little devil would not let him down. How long can I last? 1 hour. That's enough. Lin Fei handed over the matter of the divine tomb to Lin Yi. Since the 8 magnates were dead, the remaining people wouldn't be able to cause any trouble. With Lin Yi holding the fort, he would just go up and take a stroll. Of course, the most important thing was to teach them a lesson and plunder their divine power. This was also Lin Fei's other goal. Master, you just need to enter the warship. Lin Fei was very confident in the warship, which had been modified many times. The passage of the gods shouldn't affect the warship too much. Alright. The next moment, the little devil's voice was heard. I'm going to send you over. Boom. The warship exploded with a tyrannical force and plunged into the passage of the gods. Those who had been paying attention to the fight were all stunned. What was Di Tian trying to do? Was he going to attack the divine world? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The passage of the gods was not as peaceful as Lin Fei thought it would be. Boundless spatial energy swept across the warship like a hurricane, leaving behind white marks. The cabin also began to shake as if it would fall at any moment. What a terrifying spatial power! This was the first time Lin Fei had seen such spatial power. It's precisely because of this terrifying spatial power that ordinary people can't break through the barrier of space. Our warship can withstand this spatial power. Master, don't worry. Lin Fei was indeed worried that the warship wouldn't be able to withstand such an attack. As the warship continued to rise, the spatial power pressed down like a vast ocean. The terrifying aura made even Lin Fei's heart palpitate. Terrifying, it was indeed terrifying. Fortunately, everything was just as the little demon had said. The warship was top-notch and did not disappoint Lin Fei as it withstood the attacks of the spatial power. The passage of the gods was indeed terrifying. After a simple analysis, Lin Fei came to a conclusion. If one wanted to ascend to the divine world, one had to be a godly venerable. Godly kings might not be able to withstand this spatial power. As for descending to the divine world, it seemed simple, but it wasn't a place that ordinary godly kings could descend. Otherwise, those godly emperors wouldn't have gone through so much trouble to open the passage. None of this had much to do with Lin Fei. Currently, Lin Fei's attention was focused on the end of the passage. Outside the Lightning God Mountain, the subordinates of the 8 godly emperors were there. The first batch of divine envoys that were sent out carried the godly emperor's mark that the Lord God Emperor had personally refined. In their opinion, they would definitely be able to injure that fellow in the divine world. No one could withstand the attack left behind by the Lord God Emperor. The subordinates of the 8 godly emperors gathered together, waiting for good news from the divine world. Those in charge here were not godly kings, but godly venerable ones. It was difficult for a heavenly god to break through to the godly king realm, and the difficulty for a godly king to break through to the godly venerable realm was more than 100 times more difficult. Those who could become godly venerable ones were considered small giants in the divine world. Those who were assigned by the godly emperor to be in charge of this place were naturally of high status. I heard that the one who stopped us down there was chaos. I wonder if it's true or not. Who cares if it's true or not? Even if it's true, it's all in the past. No matter how powerful he is, he can't do anything. The Lord God Emperor personally refined the ultimate move. Chaos has been suppressed for a long time, and his strength hasn't recovered much. He won't be able to withstand the attack. Yes, all we need to do is wait here for news. The 8 godly venerable ones were chatting and laughing. One was a lower realm, and the other was the divine world. The difference between the two was too great. They didn't think that chaos could overturn the heavens. Back then, it was the era of the 9 godly emperors. Now, it was the era of the 8 godly emperors. In the future, it might be the era of the god emperors. A suppressed godly emperor had become a thing of the past. No one would care about him. Boom. Suddenly, the world shook, and a loud rumble came from the passage of the gods. Chapter 1828. No one would have thought that someone would rush out from the passage of the gods. It was relatively easy to go to the lower realms with the passage opened by the God King, but it wasn't easy to come up from the lower realms. First, one needed a certain level of strength. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to withstand the power of space. Without sufficient strength, even the strongest body would be torn to shreds by the power of space, including godheads. The power of space from the lower realms to the upper realms was the most terrifying. At this time, someone from the lower realms suddenly came up. The heavenly gods and god kings guarding outside were stunned. Could it be someone from the lower realms? That didn't seem possible. After all, they had a mission to go down. They couldn't come up until they completed it. Before they could figure out what was going on, they heard someone talking. The person seemed to be quite emotional. What was going on? Is this the divine world? Lin Fei controlled the warship to charge forward. Thick divine power surged in. He couldn't help but squint his eyes at the refreshing feeling. I've been trying my best to obtain god power in the lower realms, but in the divine world, god power doesn't require any capital. It's really infuriating to compare oneself to others. In the face of the boundless god power, Lin Fei couldn't help but sigh. After a short while, Lin Fei started to scan the surroundings. What a strong aura! This should be a hierarch expert. Lin Fei immediately noticed the 8 eye-catching auras. Then, there were a lot of god kings and heavenly gods sealing off the area. The area was almost completely sealed off. What terrifying lightning! Suddenly, Lin Fei's heart skipped a beat. Looking at the endless lightning bolts in the distance, he could still feel the impact of the lightning even from afar. Lin Fei didn't doubt that if a bunch of these lightning bolts came, he would definitely be blasted to smithereens. Hey, who are you? Who allowed you to come up here? A strange warship came out of the passage of the god. Immediately, a dozen god kings surrounded it. After all, the appearance of a strange warship was very suspicious, especially since they had never seen such a warship before. A few prideful god kings flew over and prepared to ask about the situation. Lin Fei squinted his eyes and went directly to the warship. He looked around and found that only the 8 ultimate god experts were a threat. The rest were not much of a threat, so he decided not to hold back. I'm here to kill. With that, Lin Fei returned to the warship. The dozen or so god kings that flew over were all stunned. They could not help but roar with laughter as disdain filled their eyes. As god king powerhouses, they had a very high status in the god world. When had they ever been looked down upon by anyone before? Moreover, it was from the mouth of a young man. How arrogant! I want to see how you kill people. Capture him. The dozen or so god kings realized that this person might be related to the god kings that had died in the lower realm. Regardless of the consequences, they had to capture him first. If they could interrogate him, that would be the best. In the distance, the 8 ultimate god experts also saw the strange battleship. Interesting. This kid is really bold. He actually came up from the lower realm through the passage of the god. Looks like this warship is quite extraordinary. Could it be a top-grade war treasure left behind by the battle clan? Doesn't seem like it. A trace of greed flashed in the eyes of the ultimate gods. Although this thing was useless to them, it was equivalent to an excellent treasure if they gave it to their disciples. Where else could they find such a good thing? Due to their high status and the fact that everyone was present, they would not do it themselves. It was best to let their subordinates do it. Whoever could snatch it would be the strongest. Although the 8 god kings seemed to be very harmonious, there were still conflicts between them. It was just that they were perfectly controlled within a certain range. A strange worship that was quite extraordinary. The 8 ultimate gods were a little tempted. If one of their subordinates snatched it, it would be a good blow to the other ultimate gods. It would also make them look very proud. The dozen or so god kings secretly received instructions and did not take the young man seriously. He was just relying on a strange worship and probably did not have any real ability. They rushed over with a murderous aura. At this time, the giant warship also moved. The warship stopped in the air above the passage of the gods. 1,000 small cannons were all opened, revealing the black muzzles. Some god kings laughed. "Ha ha, that kid is going to attack us. I'm afraid these small cannons won't even be able to break through our defenses. Capture this kid alive, ha ha ha." With Lin Fei's order, 1,000 cannons were fired. In this place filled with boundless divine power, Lin Fei had nothing to worry about. Boom boom boom. 1,000 cannons were fired. The scene was quite shocking. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, a sky full of light beams bombarded the dozen or so god kings. A few of the god kings did not care, but when the beam of light shot over, their faces could not help but change. They felt a sliver of danger. However, as soon as they thought of that, they were blown away. Their bodies became riddled with cracks and they collapsed. The attack of 1,000 cannons severely injured the dozen or so god kings. The second wave of attacks came, and the god kings were blasted to pieces. The originally motionless vortex of divine power once again went berserk, and it surged into the warship. In the blink of an eye, the dozen or so god kings were blasted to pieces. The god kings guarding outside were all dumbfounded, wondering if their eyes were playing tricks on them. These were god kings. How could they be blasted to death in the blink of an eye? At this level, god kings were not so easy to kill, but now a god king had been blasted to death by a warship? They had never encountered such a thing before. Before they could digest this, the strange warship in the sky above the passage of the gods once again fired a sky full of light beams at them. Boom boom boom. Wave after wave of attacks came, and the attacks did not stop. The gods in charge of guarding were attacked from all sides, and they suffered heavy casualties in a short period of time. Regardless of whether they were heavenly gods or god kings, they could not withstand the destructive power of the warship at all. "We can't block it. This is too terrifying. Damn, what kind of warship is this?" Even the battle bastions of the past weren't this terrifying. My battle robes were destroyed after blocking 2 attacks. No one dared to charge forward. Everyone retreated, hoping to get out of the attack range. However, the warship's attack range was very long, and it was impossible for them to leave in a short period of time. Lin Fei stood on the warship, looking at the crumbling crowd. His eyes narrowed again. "Continue to attack. This is the feeling I want." With the support of a vast amount of divine power, the warship seemed to be filled with oil, and it vented to its heart's content. Despicable brat, die. Chapter 1829. P.S. Only one update today. The scene of mass destruction and massacre infuriated the 8 ultimate gods. In the beginning, they did not care much about the warship. In the divine world, as long as the divine emperors did not make a move, almost no one could threaten them. But now, a strange warship could launch a terrifying attack and severely injure the heavenly gods and divine kings. They, who had always been high and mighty, could not accept it. One of the ultimate gods under Emperor Jingyi personally made a move. A huge palm was formed and slammed down on the warship. The divine power that was originally devoured by the warship also paused for a moment. Much of it was dispersed, showing how powerful the palm was. What a powerful attack! As expected of a ultimate god expert. Lin Fei noticed them as soon as they made their move. He had been keeping his guard up against those ultimate god experts ever since he appeared. No one could sit still in such a one-sided massacre, let alone ultimate gods. They had to make a move. Turn around and blast it away. Lin Fei also wanted to test the warship's true power. The heavenly gods and divine kings who had collapsed were no longer a threat. 1,000 cannons aimed at the top of their heads, and a dense barrage of light beams blasted out. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The ultimate god under Emperor Jingyi was called Ultimate God Etienne. The power of his palm was enough to severely injure the strange warship. He did not believe the warship could fight back. The sky full of attacks instantly shattered half of the palm. Ultimate God Etienne's expression turned ugly. He waved his hand and sent out a few more palm strikes. No matter how powerful the strange warship was, it could not withstand it. Whoosh! Ultimate God Etienne had underestimated the warship's power. As soon as the palm shadows left, the warship moved instantly, causing all the attacks to miss. The cannons turned and fired at the heavenly gods and divine kings nearby. Many experts died. Damn it! Stop the warship! Lin Fei made a feint and attacked the heavenly gods and divine kings again. The divine kings, in particular, attacked them while collecting their godheads and storage rings. He could not miss out on such good stuff. After the warship had been modified, its speed had increased by a large margin. Its reflexes were also exceptionally agile, especially with battle number 1 controlling it. It kept moving back and forth. Divinity Heavenline was unable to stop the warship, and he felt that he had lost face. This warship was too hateful. When he captured the person inside, he would definitely make him die a horrible death. The other ultimate gods could no longer remain calm when they saw the warships charging at the godly kings and heavenly gods. Bastard, this guy is really a bastard. These were all the people they had brought with them. If they really died here, they would have no idea how they were going to explain themselves when they returned. They hated the people in the battleship to death. Without any regard for the consequences, they drew their god-king weapons and attacked the battleship. When the divine venerables took action, the power of heaven and earth was mobilized. 8 terrifying attacks locked onto the warship. Lin Fei could easily sense their furious killing intent. Exhilarating. Truly exhilarating. Battle number 1 controlled the warship and used its cannons to attack the godly venerables. At the same time, the huge body of the warship rammed into the moving heavenly gods and god kings. Bang bang bang! The divine bodies of the heavenly deities and divine kings were powerful, but at this moment, they could not withstand the collision of the warships. They were smashed into pieces, and divine sparks exploded one after another. At this moment, the warship was like a peerless, ferocious beast. Run! This warship is too terrifying. Outside the god's Thunder Mountain, it was already a mess. Even the ultimate god minor giants could not restrain their subordinate. The strange warship was like a ferocious beast, constantly smashing people into pieces. This kind of scene was not something that could be seen at any time. It was so terrifying that it made one's scalp go numb. What was the use of having a powerful divine body? One would still be smashed into pieces with just one collision. The attacks of the 8 ultimate god minor giants were also suppressed by the light beams that filled the sky. For a moment they could not get close to the warship. The expressions of the 8 ultimate god minor giants were uncertain. They had not encountered such a thing in a long time. If they did not take down the other party, they would really become a laughingstock if word got out. The attacks that filled the sky were also giving them a headache. The attacks were too intense, and there was almost no pause. This undoubtedly blocked them outside and at the same time increased the distance between them. Even though they were ultimate gods, they could feel the terror of the light beam attack. They had no choice but to take out their treasures to block them. they did not dare to take the attacks head-on. Even the 9 stars peak divine kings were mercilessly smashed into pieces. Even the ultimate gods had to take this seriously. Star-stabilizing divine pearl. One of the ultimate gods took out a pearl the size of a fist. As soon as the pearl was taken out, the attacks that filled the sky instantly stopped. Time within the surrounding area seemed to have stopped. Come out. The other ultimate gods realized that this was an opportunity. Heaven-relying divinity slammed his palm on the strange warship. He wanted to forcefully destroy the warship to vent his anger. The other ultimate gods had the same idea. While the treasures were suppressing the attacks of the warship, they attacked with all their might. Their attacks landed on the warship one after another. Boom, boom, boom. The warship shook nonstop as if it would fall at any moment. Time technique. Lin Fei had already expected this. Ultimate gods were not like god kings. They had powerful techniques in their hands, especially top-notch bloodline technique. They were not easy to deal with. Several attacks landed on the warship. The warship merely shook a little. On the surface, it did not suffer any damage. However, it had consumed a lot of divine power. Master, it's impossible for them to break the warship quickly. Little Devil said proudly, the warship can use divine power to block the enemy's attacks. In the divine world, divine power is vast. It can be replenished even faster. Lin Fei narrowed his eyes. This was good. Break the time technique suppression. In an instant, divine power surged. Thousands of light beams inside the warship broke the time technique's influence. Once again, the warship charged toward the escaping god kings. It did not have the mood to fight the ultimate gods. This time, they were here to collect the god kings' godheads. Although ultimate godheads were good, they were not easy to obtain for the time being. The fist-sized star-stabilizing divine pearl was shaken. The ultimate gods' faces turned pale. When they looked at the undamaged warship, their expressions turned ugly. Once again, they took out the pearl. Attack. We have to keep attacking. This was the first time the other ultimate gods had failed in front of the warship. Their hateful attacks could easily kill a 9-star peak god king. However, they were blocked by the warship. After a short moment of shock, the ultimate gods attacked again. No matter what, they could not let the warship escape. Boom, boom. The star-stabilizing divine pearl was still very useful. It kept the warship in check. The 7 ultimate gods attacked the warship with all their might. The warship also faced its first difficult test. In less than a moment, the ultimate gods' attacks left marks on the warship. Many places were dented. This gave the ultimate gods hope. Fortunately, their efforts were not in vain. However, the most annoying thing was that the warship kept distancing itself from them. They could not attack at close range. This made them grit their teeth. Chapter 1830. It was the first time the 8 godly venerable ones could not handle a strange warship. The fierce attacks kept suppressing them, preventing them from getting close. What they could not accept the most was that the strange warship could withstand their attacks. This was something they did not dare to think about. They were godly venerable ones, and godly kings could be killed in a few moves. Yet, the warship could withstand their attacks and returned to normal in less than a moment. This made them feel very helpless. Seeing the bodies of the heavenly gods and god kings being smashed to smithereens, it was like being slapped in the face, burning with pain. Even now, they still had no idea who the people in the battleship were. Could it be someone under the upper realms' godly venerable ones? Other than them, these godly venerable ones could not think of anyone in the lower realm who could be so powerful. Master, it's almost time to go down. Lin Fei had obtained quite a number of godly king godheads. Almost none of the godly kings could escape. All of them were killed on the spot. Let's go down. Not only did Lin Fei obtain godly king godheads, but he also absorbed a lot of divine power and stored a large amount of divine power. He was very confident. Most importantly, he had fought with godly venerable ones. godly venerable ones were not as strong as imagined. Stop him! We can't let the warship escape. The 8 godly venerable ones had been chasing behind the warship. As soon as they saw the warship turn around, they took out their godly king treasures and attacked. The giant warship withstood the attacks and displayed a strong defensive ability. Once again, the 8 ultimate gods felt helpless. They felt that their lifetime of cultivation had gone to waste. Otherwise, how could they not even be able to break a warship? Someone's coming out. Suddenly, a person appeared on the warship. It was a very young guy with a faint smile on his face. Godly venerable ones are only SOSO. Lin Fei gave a thumbs up, which made the 8 godly venerable ones very angry. At that moment, a black dot appeared in front of them and attacked them. The 8 godly venerable ones were in a state of anger. They took out their treasures and attacked. Boom! A terrifying aura rose up and connected into one, spreading outwards. The 8 ultimate gods were originally quite far away from each other. However, Lin Fei had slowed down and caught up to them. Naturally, he was attacked first as he closed the distance between the 8 ultimate gods. The 8 ultimate gods were engulfed by the terrifying attacks. As for the remaining experts, their eyes were wide with disbelief. Someone had come up from below, and not only had he killed their god king, he had even gone down the passageway of the gods. That was insane. Cough, cough, cough. A terrifying aura swept out. The 8 ultimate gods appeared in ragged clothes. Looking at the injuries on their bodies, they could not believe that they had been tricked. Fortunately, they were godly venerable experts. If they were godly kings, they would have been killed on the spot. That kid is too treacherous. Bastard. What a bastard. I must kill him. I must kill him, this bastard. The 8 ultimate gods had never been so angry. If the other party was an ultimate god, they might not be so angry. However, the other party was a young man with no ultimate god aura, only a god king aura. This was a provocation to their ultimate gods. When they came out again, the battleship had disappeared without a trace. After asking the survivors, they found out that the guy had gone down the passageway of the gods. The 8 ultimate gods were dumbfounded. He went down? What were they supposed to do? The difficulty of going down to the lower realm was far harsher than going up. Even god emperors would find it difficult to go down. The consumption was too great, so it was completely unnecessary. If a godly venerable expert went down, he would die without a doubt. No one could withstand the attack of the heavenly Tao. This kid is dead for sure. He's too bold. It's a pity we can't kill him with our own hands. Could it be that the kid is playing some trick? The 8 ultimate gods surrounded the passageway of the gods with gloomy expressions. If that kid really went down, they really had no way to deal with him. Anyone who went down the passageway of the gods would die without a doubt, let alone a god king. Maybe that kid thinks he can escape and can only go down to fight for that sliver of a chance. Escape? Yes, that guy really can escape. Perhaps that was really the case. They wouldn't admit that they couldn't do it. They could only say that the other party was afraid of them, so he went down the passageway of the gods. Yes, that must be the case. That kid is bold, but he offended the 8 of us. No one in the divine world would dare to take him in. Only by offending us will he have a chance of survival in the lower realm. We must find out which faction arranged this kid. He's provoking us, the 8 ultimate gods, and even more so, His Majesty. We must investigate thoroughly. It must be those guys who are secretly jealous of His Majesty and deliberately arranged this show. We must find out who's behind the scenes. Godly venerable experts still cared a lot about their reputation. They sealed the remaining people's mouths and reported the news to their superiors. However, although their idea was good, the news still spread in the shortest time possible. The divine world was huge. The 8 godly emperors were powerful and qualified to aspire to the position of God Emperor. However, it didn't mean that they were the strongest. There were also some godly venerable experts whose strength could rival godly emperors. On the surface, these godly venerable experts were convinced, but in private, they were quite dissatisfied and often caused trouble. This time, when the 8 godly emperors opened the passageway of the gods, countless eyes were secretly watching the situation at the gods' lightning mountain. They would destroy it whenever they had the chance, not allowing the 8 godly emperors to achieve their goal easily. Of course, all of this was done secretly. There were always people watching the gods' lightning mountain. A strange warship had come from the lower realm and killed the 8 godly emperors' men wantonly. Even the godly venerables couldn't cause any damage to it. The news spread immediately. The godly venerable experts of the divine world received the news. Some people even recorded the scene. The entire divine world was shocked. Someone actually attacked the 8 godly emperors' men in front of them, killing in all directions, and finally leaving behind the words "godly venerables are only SOSO. It was really satisfying. The various godly venerable experts were secretly guessing which godly venerable expert this young man was. They were happy that the 8 godly emperors were having a hard time. Everyone was investigating in private, especially the warship that the young man was riding on. It was absolutely terrifying. Even a godly venerable expert couldn't destroy it. It was obviously not ordinary. Some people argued that it was because the attacks of the 8 godly venerable experts were suppressed. If the 8 godly venerable experts' strength was not suppressed, they would definitely be able to damage the warship. Chapter 1831. While the undercurrents were surging in the divine realm, Lin Fei successfully came down from the passage of the god. The only thing that made him unhappy was that he had spent a lot of divine power. In the words of the little devil, it was a necessary disguise. Otherwise, the heavenly axiom would strike him down with terrifying divine lightning. He returned to the tomb of the gods' battlefield. The disciples of the 8 major sects were dumbfounded once again. He could come down from there? Did he have to bully them like that? After Di Tian entered the passage of the gods, they thought that he was courting death. Even the upper realm did not dare to send people down, let alone Di Tian. But the result gave them a huge shock. He could go up and down as he pleased. It was no different from going home. Their original thoughts were instantly extinguished. Previously, they had hoped that Di Tian would die in the passage. When the oracle came down, he could easily reverse the situation. Now it was better to stay obediently. It was a luxury to hope for something to happen to Di Tian. He was alive and well now, and he even occupied the tomb of the gods' battlefield. It was not something that could be reversed by anyone. Although the trip to the divine realm was short, Lin Fei had gained a lot. Not to mention the God-King level godhead, the divine power absorbed was far more than the ones below. What flowed above was divine power. As long as the system madly absorbed it, it could be used. In the tomb of the gods' battlefield, a part of it would be consumed. Losing 10% of the divine power was also a big waste. But the loss was far more than 10%. The first thing Lin Fei did when he returned was to make arrangements around the passage of the gods. I don't think those godly venerables will come down personally. If they send their divine consciousness down, they will definitely be shocked. Lin Fei stood on the giant warship. At this time, the warship was not damaged. It was intact like a behemoth, and its muzzle was aimed at the passage of the gods. Master, you don't have to be so nervous. Those small giants are all proud and won't come down rashly. They can't afford this kind of loss. They will definitely find a reason to come down and wait for the Emperor's orders. The little devil said. Lin Fei was not afraid at all. He was just prepared in advance to teach them a lesson. It's a pity that it's not easy to kill an ultimate god. Otherwise, I would have killed a few of them. Although he had not fought with the divine lords, Lin Fei knew how powerful they were. They could mobilize the power of heaven and earth on a large scale. If it were not for the battleship's constant consumption, they would have boarded the battleship sooner or later. What's so difficult about that? As long as we continue to modify it, it's normal for us to injure the supreme divinities. Little Demonis said disdainfully. Transform? Let's wait and see. 200 billion godhoods were just a drop in the bucket. 7 or 8 days passed. The passage of the gods showed no reaction. However, there was someone outside who had sealed the flow of god power. Over the past few days, Lin Fei had not been able to absorb any god power. Lin Fei had already expected this. After all, those ultimate gods were not fools. They would always be able to see some clues. It was normal for them to block the flow of divine power. There wasn't much divine power left. Lin Fei had already stored up a large amount of divine power and could last for quite a few battles. If there were too many battles, he could only run away. Go to the divine world again? That was not possible for a while. According to the little fiend, the passage of the gods was the weakest part of the barrier. Only the 8 great god emperors were able to open up a passageway and stabilize it. If it was anywhere else, it wouldn't be so easy. As for whether there were other places like this, no one knew. After killing so many god kings, Lin Fei had no doubt that those ultimate gods must have set up an inescapable net for him outside. As long as he went up, he would be greeted with all kinds of attacks. Go up? Save it. While Lin Fei was on guard, someone came to the battlefield of the divine graveyard and said that he wanted to see him. See me? Lin Fei was very interested. Isn't he afraid that I'll kill him? The person who came was someone Lin Fei had a grudge against. Sunluo Overlord, one of the 7 overlords. Lin Fei was very surprised that this person came looking for him. Now that the battlefield of the divine graveyard was under his control, it would be a matter of minutes to deal with these overlords hiding in the corner. He did not even need to show up. Lin Yi could deal with them with a single trip. I think it's better for Master to meet him. Lin Yi's idea was very simple. He is one of the overlords of the lower domain. I heard that someone is supporting him from behind. The person behind him should be the small giants above. This time, the person behind him must have spoken. Whether it was the 8 major sects or the 7 overlords, they all had strong backers. The 8 major sects had the 8 great god emperors. As for who was behind the 7 overlords, it was temporarily unknown. Hearing that the Sunluo overlord was looking for him, Lin Fei was very interested. If he wanted to kill the Sunluo overlord, he could have done it before. Since he took the initiative to come, Lin Fei did not mind talking to him. The Sunluo overlord had never seen such a monstrous guy. The first time he ambushed Di Tian, he suffered a crushing defeat and was blackmailed. He had paid a big price. Originally, he wanted to continue to deal with Di Tian. He did not know that since then, Di Tian's strength had improved by leaps and bounds. Now, he had left the 7 overlords far behind. The Sunluo overlord felt that he had lived like a dog. After cultivating for so long, he still could not compare to a junior. When Di Tian occupied the battlefield of the divine graveyard and wiped out the 8 major sects, the Sunluo overlord actually wanted to leave. Find trouble with Di Tian? He no longer had this idea because Di Tian's ferocity and terror had been imprinted in his heart. With the backing of the 8 great god emperors, Di Tian still dared to kill them. This was a slap in the face to the 8 great god emperors. Moreover, he occupied the battlefield of the divine graveyard and killed a large number of divine messengers. He had completely offended the 8 great god emperors. Under such circumstances, the Sunluo overlord naturally did not dare to fight against Di Tian. He could only choose a corner and watch Di Tian suffer. No matter how powerful those big shots were, Di Tian would not be able to do anything. But who would have thought that Di Tian would do such a shocking thing and give the 8 great god emperors another slap in the face? Taoist Di Tian, long time no see. The Sunluo overlord took the initiative to greet Lin Fei the moment he saw him. At this moment Di Tian was not someone he could deal with. Di Tian could probably kill him with a flick of his finger, especially with the terrifying aura that was released from his body. It was clearly the aura of a divine king, and it was the peak kind. This strength. Daoist Sun Luo, it has been a while since we last met. I did not expect you to be so bold to come looking for me. Aren't you afraid that I will kill you on the spot? Lin Fei narrowed his eyes and said calmly. The Sun Luo overlord shivered when he was swept by the sharp killing intent. Chapter 1832. The Sun Luo overlord did not dare to go against Di Tian. It would be depressing if he was killed. Moreover, the person behind him had repeatedly reminded him not to mess things up. He would not dare to act recklessly even if he had 100 guts. He still had to lower his head. Even the person above him was interested in Di Tian. He could not afford to offend him. The Sun Luo overlord immediately explained that he was not here on his own. He was here on behalf of the person behind him. This was also a subtle warning. Lin Fei's killing intent dissipated. He said with interest, "Oh, interesting. I wonder who you are on behalf of? If you dare to lie to me, I don't mind killing you on the spot. After all, there is still some enmity between us." The Sun Luo overlord felt his scalp go numb. He thought to himself, this bastard Di Tian is so cruel. I'll let him have his way for now, lest he kills the real me. Daoist Di Tian, it was all my fault in the past. I won't lie to you this time. The Sun Luo overlord said. Can we find a secluded place? That person doesn't want too many people to know. There's no need. I'll do it here. Lin Fei did not want to change places. If you have something to say, just say it here. I'm very busy. I don't have time to waste. The Sun Luo overlord gritted his teeth. Fortunately, there was only one godly king in the vicinity. The people from the 8 sects had been sent elsewhere. He was not worried that news would spread. As for Di Tian saying that he was busy, he did not believe it at all. It's like this. You should know that we, the 7 great overlords, actually represent a big shot in the lower realms. My backer says that he wants to see you. The Sun Luo overlord said carefully, afraid that Di Tian would be angered. Lin Fei was also very surprised. The 7 overlords had people behind them. Everyone in the territory knew that. However, they hid it very well. Almost no one knew about it. They were not like the 8 godly emperors. So your person behind you wants to meet me. Interesting, really interesting, Lin Fei said with a smile. However, if he wants to meet me, let him come personally. I'm not interested in meeting him. In the past, the Sun Luo overlord would definitely be angry. After all, he was just a small fry. How could he meet his person behind him? Can I set up an array? Sure. The Sun Luo overlord set up a mysterious formation. Lin Fei had been using the system to analyze the situation. After confirming that there was no danger, he did not leave. He still trusted the system. As long as the Sun Luo overlord had any ulterior motives, Lin Fei would immediately kill him on the spot. Once the formation was formed, the space around it changed. It was extremely mysterious. All right. The Sun Luo overlord glanced at Di Tian. My lord will be here soon. Sure. The Sun Luo tyrant was also impressed by Di Tian's gut. Was Di Tian not afraid that he would play some tricks? Ordinary people wouldn't dare to stay in the formation for so long. Then I'll start. Sun Luo overlord activated the magic formation and took out a treasure at the same time. After the magic formation was activated, it tore through the layers of space and opened up a small passageway. This was a connection with the upper realm. Lin Fei narrowed his eyes. It seems that the small giants hiding in the depths are secretly taking action. Boom! The small tunnel was completed. A terrifying aura descended from the tunnel. The Sun Luo overlord was the first to bear the brunt of it. His entire body trembled as if he could not bear the terrifying aura. Lin Fei did not care. He circulated the divine power around his body and shattered the aura. The terrifying aura could not penetrate even half an inch. You're the Sun Luo overlord's backer? If you have anything to say, just say it. The one who descended was not a person, but a phantom. It could be said that it was formed from divine consciousness and had a portion of its combat power. The phantom's face could not be seen clearly, but it emitted powerful fluctuations. Lin Fei was not too interested in people who did not show their faces. The Sunluo overlord lowered his head. When he heard Di Tian's words, the corners of his eyes twitched. In the end, he chose to shut his mouth and say nothing. Taoist Di Tian, you're young and promising. The phantom laughed. As expected of someone who made the 8 godly supremacies suffer. That's easy to say. Lin Fei would not explain. I wonder why you've crossed realms. If you wanted to meet me alone, you've met me now. In a place like the lower realm, Lin Fei did not need to give face to anyone. The heavenly Tao suppressed power. If one came down from above, Lin Fei could easily kill one. Even if it was the clone of a minor giant, it would not be able to gain any advantage. Good, this seat likes people like you. The 8 god emperors reopened the passageway of the Legion of Gods for the sake of the 8 great sections. They wanted the 8 great sects to grow stronger, so they opened up 8 passageways. I want to buy one of those passageways. Name your price. Whether it's godstones, treasures, or even techniques, I'll satisfy you. Lin Fei suddenly laughed and thought to himself, so it's these 8 passages. Ever since the sect leaders of the 8 major sects were wiped out, the 8 gates of gods that were set up were in a state of no use. Recently, the gates of gods had been sealed, so they had lost their transmission function. Lin Fei didn't think much of it. Now it seemed that the 8 gates of gods were still very useful to some people. Lin Fei was very clear of the motive of these overlords. They wanted to increase the strength of the 7 overlords. The system had already analyzed this place and found out that this was the weakest spot in the entire space. It was no wonder that they would target this place. That's easy. Lin Fei was not afraid of people improving their strength. If no one comes, I plan to dismantle them all. It's useless to keep them. The Shadow was a peak ultimate god expert in the divine world. In the divine world where the 8 divine emperors were the strongest, ultimate god experts had a very high status, especially peak ultimate gods who had a certain chance to advance to the divine emperor realm and become a big shot. After learning of the emergence of a tyrannical young man in the lower domain, the first thing they suspected was that apart from the chaotic divine emperor back then, no one else could have achieved this. Only later did they find out that the person was not chaotic, but a lucky little guy who occupied the lower realm and caused great damage to the 8 major sections. I can't buy the gates of gods, I only know how to rent them. Lin Fei went on, 1 day's rent is only 100,000 God King realm godheads, 1 million God King realm godheads, 10 billion heavenly God realm godheads, and a few divine veins. I'm an easy person to negotiate with. Now that there was a chance to take advantage of him, Lin Fei would not miss it. In his opinion, the little fellow would definitely agree to buy the door of the gods. However, when he heard this, he felt extremely uncomfortable. This is impossible. Just the ultimate godheads alone were not something he could get his hands on, let alone 100,000 ultimate godhead. What a joke. Chapter 1833. Lin Fei only needed to listen for a moment to know that these hidden powerhouses were planning to expand their power and influence in the lower realm. The 8 great sects had suffered great losses. Their elites and geniuses had all been imprisoned by him. As long as one was smart, he could see the opportunity. For example, the 7 overlords. Their influence had always been limited, unable to expand further. Now that the 8 great sects had lost their opportunity, they naturally wouldn't miss it. Lin Fei even suspected that these people knew that he had killed a large number of god kings in the god world. That was why they personally came to him to ask for the Gate of Gods. The Gate of Gods was empty. Lin Fei didn't pay attention to it. Now that someone had taken a fancy to it, Lin Fei was very happy. He had another chance to obtain god sparks. Who asked him to be lacking god sparks? The 200 billion god sparks from before didn't even cause a ripple. Hearing that he couldn't take it out, Lin Fei lost his temper. To be able to be a powerhouse in the god world was also a big deal. He had risked his life to descend his divine sense and allowed him to state the conditions. This kind of condition was enough to provoke this little tycoon quite a bit. Humph, Dao friend Tian, this seat can't fulfill your request. The illusory figure said solemnly, although the gate of gods is good, this seat can't agree to any request. Lin Fei directly turned around. If you can't do it, then forget it. In any case, I don't care about you. I believe there will be others who will take a fancy to the gate of gods. This made the illusory figure quite angry. Fortunately, his face didn't appear, otherwise his expression would be very ugly. You dare! In the god world, no one dared to say such words in front of a powerhouse. A boundless and terrifying aura pressed down on Lin Fei. Lin Fei wasn't someone to be trifled with. In this lower realm, there was no way he could overturn the heavens. He turned around and said, "You're courting death." A giant saber the size of a door appeared out of thin air. With one slash, the terrifying aura was shattered. God power surged and slashed at the illusory figure. This slash was fast and fierce. Not far away, Sun Luo Overlord was quite frightened. The power of this slash had reached the limit of the heavenly Tao. According to the system's analysis, Lin Fei could easily reach it. If anyone's power exceeded this limit, they would definitely attract the fierce attack of the heavenly Tao. The illusory giant had never imagined that Tian would actually attack him. He had been stunned by a single slash from Tian, and the dangerous aura he sensed caused his expression to change drastically. Hold on, how could Lin Fei stop? He slashed at the phantom with his saber, and a terrifying force tore the phantom into pieces. His divine sense disappeared into the array. The Sun Luo Overlord was so scared that he didn't dare to speak anymore. A chill ran through his body. He was afraid. He was truly afraid. Go back and tell your master that I have the final say in the lower realm. If you want the door of gods, you have to pay the price. You can't just casually threaten someone. Lin Fei's sharp gaze swept across the plenitude overlord. I will immediately send word. The Sun Luo Transcendent immediately turned and left, afraid that Tian would kill him. He had personally experienced the might of that saber strike earlier. There was no way he would be able to block it. Lin Fei didn't plan to kill the plenitude overlord. If the god was killed, he would lose a middleman. He still wanted to obtain some godhoods from the minor overlord. Are my demands really that high? Lin Fei asked Lin Yi. Lin Yi was not far away, and he heard everything clearly. Not at all. It's just that they think too highly of themselves. They even want to force Master to agree. Lin Yi wouldn't say anything good for them. Master, on the other hand, can wait for them to come knocking. At the same time, inside a shrine in the immortal world, a minor overlord was raging. Damned ants! How dare they destroy my divine sense? What a bastard! This minor overlord had never thought that ants from the lower realm would attack. Their combat strength was also abnormally terrifying. They destroyed the divine sense with a single slash, causing him to lose contact with it. If his clone had gone down, he could have withstood a few slashes, but his divine sense would have been much weaker. The scariest thing was that the attack just happened to be at the limit of the heavenly Tao's suppression. This was another part of the minor overlord's fear. His control of strength was flawless. Not a bit more, not a bit less, but he still had the upper hand. This Tian is really not simple. I originally thought that he was relying on the strange warship to be fierce, but now it seems that his strength is also extraordinary. No wonder he could easily kill the god envoys down there. In the lower realm, he is indeed ferocious. To be able to perfectly unleash the ultimate strength would be very terrifying in the lower realm. The minor overlord was very angry. If the news that his divine sense had been destroyed spread, he would definitely be laughed at by many people. We still have to get the door of the gods. It seems like we can only continue talking. The minor overlord suppressed his anger. I still need plenitude overlord to make a few more trips to prevent others from beating us to it. As for finding trouble with Dtion, this minor overlord couldn't do anything for the time being. If it was in the immortal world, it would be fine. This little bit of strength was nothing to be afraid of. However, in the lower realm, where the heavenly Tao suppressed strength, the other party was the strongest. If he wanted to deal with Dtion, who knew how much effort it would take, this was also something that he couldn't do anything about. Lin Fei had destroyed the spiritual will of the small magnate, so he wasn't worried that the other party would take revenge on him. The power of the limit of the heavenly Tao was enough for them to take it seriously. After the Sunluo overlord, business came one after another. First, it was the Myriad Tao overlord, then the Zhenhai overlord, and then the Dark Embryo overlord. They all came to the battlefield of the Divine Mausoleum one after another and were very polite. Their goal was the same, the door of the gods. Unlike the Sunluo overlord's backer, they didn't send down their divine will directly. Instead, they asked them to talk. Lin Fei was in a good mood. This was a one-to-one deal. Lin Fei didn't want to sell the door of gods. Instead, he chose to rent it out. Whoever offered the highest price would be able to rent it. This time, Lin Fei did not state any specific conditions. Instead, he told them to pass on the message that whoever offered the highest price would rent it to them. The range of choices was godstones, godheads, and divine veins. He was not interested in anything else. This was also what Lin Fei came up with after thinking for a long time. If he could make a profit, he would make a profit. However, Lin Fei didn't expect that there would be so many people who wanted the door of the gods. First, it was the 7 overlords who passed on the message. Then, the strongest race also came to pass on the message. It turned out that the giants of the strongest race also wanted the door of the gods and wanted to increase the power of their forces in the lower realm. This was great news for Lin Fei. The more people who wanted the door of the gods, the happier Lin Fei was. He didn't believe that they wouldn't bleed. Lin Fei could vaguely see that the 8 great god emperors' ruling ability in the higher realm wasn't as strong as he imagined. There were many people who secretly expanded their power. Chapter 1834. There were more ultimate gods who wanted to challenge the door of gods than Lin Fei had imagined. Lin Fei was happy that they had come to his doorstep and wanted to use violence to threaten him. That would be embarrassing. He would directly blow them up and chase them back to the divine world. He was not that easy to bully. The flow of divine power in the passage of the gods had been sealed. Only a small portion of it could reach the lower realm. Lin Fei now felt that it was a waste to abandon this divine power. Compared to the vast amount of divine power he had before, the current divine power was not even comparable to a small river. Now, Lin Fei focused his attention on the hierarch minor giant. At the same time, he was guarding against the people of the 8 great divine emperors. Just like that, a few days passed. When the representatives of the hierarch minor giants came again, Lin Fei knew that there would be a result soon. This time, they did not come alone. They came in groups, as if they had discussed it beforehand. Lin Fei was not worried that they would join forces. The more influence they had in the lower realm, the better it would be for the people of the divine world. The 7 overlords came together. For example, the Sunluo overlord was shocked when he came last time. He had seen Dtion shatter the Lord's projection with his own eyes and forcefully counterattack. This time, he had come with a lower attitude. This was something that could not be helped. Dtion could not be offended. The 7 overlords had just arrived, and now the representatives of the strongest tribes had come. It seemed like they had discussed it beforehand. This saved a lot of time. Lin Fei had been worried that they would come one by one. Since you are all here, you can tell me your results. Lin Fei did not intend to waste any time. He went straight to the point. Whether it was the 7 overlords or the leaders of the strongest tribes, they all frowned slightly. They were not used to this way of speaking. It was as if they were buying vegetables in the market. However, the Dtion in front of them was not someone they could deal with. No matter how unhappy their backers were with Dtion, they could not deal with him in a short time. The lower realm was a mysterious place that they could not mess around with. Even their backers did not dare to cause trouble for Dtion, let alone them. At this moment, Dtion was like a ferocious person in their eyes. The 8 great sects were completely destroyed, and they also targeted the 8 great sects in the shortest time possible. Their influence increased by a lot, and they completely suppressed the 8 great sections. My lord said that this is not a small matter. He is prepared to talk to you personally. Myriad Tau Overlord was the first to speak. That's what my master said. Master said that he wants to discuss this matter with you personally. Talk to me personally? This is fine. Lin Fei waved his hand and agreed to talk to them personally. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief and hurriedly set up a formation. In the shortest amount of time, a formation was set up and successfully activated. Shortly after, numerous powerful auras descended. These giants from the lower realms all had serious expressions as they welcomed the arrival of the divine wills. Lin Fei squinted, his eyes shining. Sigh, the supreme divinity is also a coward. If the supreme divinity came down, I could at least play with the supreme divinity. There were more than 10 auras descending. Fortunately, there were restrictions on the formation, so the auras were not released. These auras were all divine wills, like a ball of fire, except that there was no hot aura, but it gave people a very terrifying aura. Lin Fei did not care much about it. In the aura, he could still see the back of the Myriad Tau Overlord that was destroyed last time. This time, he still chose to come down. More than 10 powerful auras were still quite terrifying. Boom! Suddenly, Lin Fei stomped his feet and erupted with a tyrannical and terrifying aura. Like a hurricane, it swept over the dozen divine wills. Welcome, everyone. I am the controller of the Divine Tomb Battlefield, Dtion. Lin Fei said with a smile. Not far away, the giants from the lower realms were scared. Dtion was really bold. Did he not know who the person in front of him was? Even if it was just a divine will, it was still invincible in this realm. It was these invincible divine wills that Dtion actually showed them his strength. This was completely beyond their imagination. Instead, the Myriad Tau Overlord shrank his neck. He had seen Dtion's ferocity with his own eyes last time. It was normal for him to show his strength. Otherwise, he would not be Dtion. In the divine wills, the backer of the Myriad Tau Overlord did not choose to speak. He thought, someone is definitely going to be unlucky again. I won't be the one to stand out. In fact, each of these divine wills represented a small ultimate god giant, and they were all at the peak realm. Even big figures like the Divine Emperor had to give them face. At this time, a boy from the lower realms actually showed them his strength, which undoubtedly made them very uncomfortable. Provocation. Absolute provocation. You little ant, do you know who you are talking to now? One of the divine wills burst out with boundless killing intent, turned into a long spear, and directly stabbed at Lin Fei. This simple stab, if one was not strong enough, would directly shatter his consciousness and become an idiot. Ant? You are wrong. I am not the ant, it is you. Lin Fei laughed and punched out with a mountainous fist light. You dare to be arrogant in my territory? Do you really think that you are here in person? Even without the enhancement of his weapon, Lin Fei was still very strong. With a punch, the long spear shattered. Scram back to the divine world. Lin Fei definitely wanted to suppress this divine will. No matter where it came from, in a place like the lower realms, at least it would not be able to cause any trouble. Supremacy Yin-Yang, if you have something to say, we can talk it out. The backer of the Myriad Tau Overlord who was killed earlier advised. It turned out that the person who turned the killing intent into a long spear was Supremacy Yin Yang, a manifestation of the heaven and earth's will. He was usually arrogant and despotic, and never took anyone seriously. This boy from the lower realms dared to show his face, which undoubtedly made Supremacy Yin Yang very uncomfortable. He wanted to use this opportunity to teach Di Tian a lesson. If he could turn Di Tian into an idiot, the door of gods would still be a piece of cake, and he would not need to spend any effort. No, this brat is too arrogant, and he has the strength of a mere god king, Supremacy Yin Yang said disdainfully. Lin Fei stepped forward, and a huge door-sized blade appeared in his hand. He slashed at Supremacy Yin Yang's divine will 3 times, each blade fiercer than the one before, like continuous waves. Supremacy Yin Yang's divine will once again burst forth with a terrifying aura. 1 yin, 1 yang, 2 worlds blocked in front of him. This was his trump card, and just these 2 worlds were not something a god king could break apart. The other divine wills had heard of Di Tian's tyranny, and his origin was very mysterious. They were happy to see Supremacy Yin Yang attack, and they could also see if Di Tian had the ability to do so. If he was turned into an idiot, that would be the best thing. But when Di Tian executed the 3 blades, boundless killing power erupted, and they were immediately shaken. How is this possible? He grasped the limit of power so quickly. Not good, Supremacy Yin Yang is in trouble. Chapter 1835. The ultimate god junior giants present were not simple people. They could see what was going on with Lin Fei's move. The attack of the heavenly way's limit power was enough to shock them. Lin Fei had perfect control of the attack without any loss of power. They did not come with their real bodies but had chosen a coincidence, so their power was naturally greatly limited. Lin Fei had unleashed an attack that was at the limit of heavenly Tao right from the start, and it had indeed shocked them quite a bit. The 3 consecutive attacks were all at the limit of heavenly Tao, which showed how perfect his control over his power was. After all, if they were not careful and exceeded the limit by just a bit, or even just a bit, they would immediately be attacked by heavenly Tao. It took them a long time to master it. They were shocked that a slightly stronger ant from the lower realm could master it in such a short time. They immediately realized that Yin Yang Divine Lord was in trouble. Yin Yang Divine Lord was indeed in trouble. His signature move was instantly shattered by the saber gleam. The 3rd attack landed on his divine consciousness and did not give Yin Yang Divine Lord any chance to react. The divine consciousness was torn into pieces. Divine consciousness power was limited and defense was even more limited. It was normal for one attack to be split open. Lin Fei already had that power. He did not waste his time these days. In addition, he had the system's perfect control and was not afraid of being attacked by the heavenly way. That was the benefit of being systematic. It's quiet now. Lin Fei put away the door-sized saber and chuckled. However, it was not good news for the ultimate god junior giants present. Di Tian, that ant, was still very powerful. After 3 consecutive attacks, they saw Di Tian's power. At least in the lower realm, Di Tian was quite powerful. It was not the best choice to fight him head-on. Not convinced? Go and try. No one was in the mood for that. They did not see Yin Yang Divine Lord being sent back. They did not dare to test how much combat power Di Tian had left. Young friend Di Tian, you're really young and promising. Amazing. After a short silence, the ultimate god junior giants said insincerely. There was no need to offend Di Tian for the time being. That was the only thought in their minds. Lin Fei thought someone would jump out, but it seemed that those people were very timid. They were really disappointed in the ultimate god. I'm usually a friendly person. The only thing I don't like is those who think too highly of themselves. Lin Fei said with a smile, now that the unhappy people have left, we can start talking. After all, everyone's time is precious. If we can solve it as soon as possible, then let's solve it as soon as possible. Tell me your conditions. Lin Fei was very direct. Although the ultimate god junior giant felt uncomfortable, he agreed with Tion's words. They should solve the problem as soon as possible. They had to sneak down from above as they could not stay for too long. Then I'll go first. One of the divine wills spoke first. Yama Overlord is one of my people. Little friend's conditions are too high. For example, a hierarch grade godhead is an extremely precious existence. It's impossible to ask for tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of godheads. In the divine world's golden age, there were more than 10,000 hierarchs. But now, the number of hierarchs is less than 1/10 of that number. Regarding this, Lin Fei really did not think too much about it. That's impossible. Your divine world has so many god kings but so few hierarchs? Lin Fei frowned. He still wanted to get an hierarch grade godhead to summon hierarch experts, but now it seemed that this goal was going to be difficult. The ultimate god junior giant almost rolled his eyes. He wanted to tell this ant loudly. If hierarchs were as common as cabbages, how would they have any status in the divine world? An ant is an ant, you don't know anything. I'm not going to argue with you. Hierarch grade godhead, that's impossible. However, we can give you a satisfactory answer for God Vein, ordinary godheads, and God King grade godheads. Lin Fei did not really want an hierarch grade godhead. He was just asking for an exorbitant price. Just like buying something else, he just had to ask for it slowly. No hierarch grade godhead, that's a pity. Lin Fei shook his head in disappointment. Since you don't have that kind of godhead, I'll need to double the price in other aspects. You guys better be prepared. The ultimate god junior giant wanted to curse. However, with Yin Yang hierarch as an example, they did not dare to do anything for the time being. They were afraid of Tion. If they were swept away, they would lose a lot of face. It was not impossible to pay some price for the god princes in the lower realm. The competition for the 8 gates of gods was fiercer than Lin Fei had imagined. None of the ultimate god junior giants were willing to give up this opportunity. Using a god emperor grade godhead to build a gates of gods had a stabilizing effect. This level of godhead was a luxury item that only god emperors had. Very few hierarchs in the outside world had one. That was why they set their eyes on the gates of gods and used this opportunity to expand their influence in the lower realm. They really did not care if they had to pay some price. Lin Fei was only renting and not selling. This made them gnash their teeth in anger. Their angry eyes could kill, but they could not do anything. Sometimes they resented the heavenly Tao. Why did it leave a restriction to target them in the lower realm? Otherwise, Tion would really die without a burial place. You have discussed for so long, but you still haven't come to a conclusion. Why don't we do this? Lin Fei suddenly said. I have a good idea. Since you all want the gates of gods, why don't you all rent them together? You can discuss how to distribute them among yourselves. Wouldn't that be easier? They thought it was a good idea. All the ultimate god junior giants wanted to rent the 8 gates of gods. However, there were only 8 gates of gods and they had a lot of people. Fighting over them would cost them a lot. Tion's idea was undoubtedly a good one. Their impression of Tion improved a lot. This kid really knew how to do things. Everyone here will pay a fee, and the rest will be up to you. How simple is that? Lin Fei narrowed his eyes. A day's delay will affect you greatly. If you are not careful, the 8 great god emperor's people will ask me to make a move. You won't have this chance then. The moment Lin Fei said that, the ultimate god junior giants had to consider the urgency of time. They also wanted to take advantage of this rare opportunity to use the door of gods to achieve their own goals. Lin Fei's words were very useful. Lin Fei's words forced them to make a decision. Should they continue to delay or should they rent the gates of gods immediately? The result was needless to say. They also realized the urgency of time. If they waited for the 8 great god emperors to make a move, they would lose their chance. More than 10 ultimate god junior giants surprisingly had the same opinion. They offered a shocking price to rent the 8 gates of gods. Chapter 1836. Lin Fei agreed without any hesitation. The godly venerable realm minor overlords were indeed very valuable. Overall, Lin Fei was quite satisfied with their request. With so many godly venerable realm minor overlords, they did not need to pay a lot of godhead. Tens of billions of godheads, especially heavenly godheads, were nothing. Lin Fei knew that the divine world was vast and had a large population. People were born as sky immortals. Those with high qualifications were even immortal venerables and immortal emperors. A mere heavenly godhead was nothing. Lin Fei was also very satisfied with the God-King godhead. He would fish for as long as he could. Lin Fei was very relaxed. After Lin Fei agreed, they made a request. They had to ensure that everything in the lower realm was operating normally. Lin Fei hesitated for a while before saying, "You've paid the money. I'm sure you'll be satisfied with the service. If they really come down, I'll take care of it myself." Lin Fei would do that. He was prepared to rent them out for a few more days. After the godly venerable realm minor overlords finished their discussion and handed over the matters of the lower realm agents, they returned to the upper realm. At this time, they were not willing to publicly offend the 8 great god emperors. As for how they would do it, Lin Fei did not care. After the godly venerable realm minor overlords left, the 7 overlords and the others looked at Lin Fei with even more fear. Half a day later, Lin Fei received the first day's rent. With such a huge income, Lin Fei was very happy. He handed over the 8 gates of gods to them. How they would handle it was their business. The area around the passage of gods was empty again. Lin Fei's main task was to guard this place. This was related to his business. It's been so many days. What did the white-robed primal chaos do? Lin Fei was very curious. As long as a god emperor did not descend, he did not have to worry about the godly venerable realm minor overlords killing him. As Lin Fei thought about it, he refined all the earth-grade divine veins. In the divine world, the depths of the divine world were divided into heaven, earth, profound, and yellow. Earth-class divine veins contained terrifying god power, and any sect with them could easily become a mid-grade sect. As for high-grade sects, they were a bit lacking. Lin Fei was very satisfied with their earth-class divine veins. Withdrawing his gaze from the passage of gods, Lin Fei once again focused on improving the strength of his 18 clones. It was like a bottomless pit, and he hadn't been able to raise any of them. Divine Thunder Mountain. After another failure, the 8 godly venerables had no choice but to personally report the situation and order for the passage of the gods to be temporarily sealed to prevent the flow of divine power to the lower realm. As long as he didn't have enough divine power, he wouldn't be able to do much in the lower realm, where divine power was scarce. The 8 ultimate gods met the Emperor God and told him about the situation. They were all feeling uneasy as it was related to the future divine sons. The Emperor God took it very seriously, which was why he had arranged for them to guard the place. After the 8 godly emperors learned about the matter, they weren't too angry. At their level, they wouldn't get angry because of anything. They just expressed that they understood. This should be the doing of our chaos. The 8 godly emperors gathered together to discuss the reason behind the matter. No one dares to be presumptuous in front of us except him. The battlefield of the divine tomb in the lower realm has been occupied, and recently, many godly venerables are eager to try and have begun to communicate with the lower realm. This is extremely disadvantageous to our forces in the lower realm. I suggest that we immediately send out an army to defeat the people left behind by chaos. The exchange of divine senses was very intense. Rumble. Suddenly, the whole world shook. There was an inexplicable commotion in the divine world. The super experts who were in seclusion came out of their cave abodes and appeared in the sky, a trace of uneasiness on their faces. What happened just now? Why did I feel that the divine world is moving? It seems that something bad is about to happen. Some super experts who were good at divination began to calculate, wanting to know what would happen next. The result was quite shocking. In another part of the sky, the original bodies of the 8 godly emperors appeared in the sky. As their divine bodies kept moving, they arrived at a place in the divine world in the blink of an eye. Open. God Emperor Jing Yi was the first to arrive. He waved his hand downward, the sky was torn open, and his eyes shot straight into the depths of the space. In the depths there was a towering stone pillar, which was now broken in two. The pillar of sky bearing is broken. Rumble! Rumble! The huge movement did not stop. In the blink of an eye, it appeared again. It was spread out in various places in the divine world. The first to arrive were all godly emperors. They tore open the space and looked straight into the depths, a trace of anger and cold killing intent flashing in their eyes. The pillar of sky bearing is broken. The 8 godly emperors gathered together and said the same thing. A total of 12 are broken. The battlefield of the divine tomb. The huge movement also affected the entire territory. The loud rumble caused everyone in the territory to feel powerless. Lin Fei was in the middle of upgrading the 18 primordial chaos clones. The huge movement caused him to sway. He put away the 18 primordial chaos clones and went outside. What's going on? Lin Fei scanned the area with his divine sense. There was no problem, but this kind of movement made him feel a trace of unease. But he did not know where this trace of unease came from. Just as Lin Fei was feeling puzzled, another huge movement came. Almost no one could stand in the sky, and they all fell from the sky. What the hell is going on? Lin Fei was very confused. This movement came too inexplicably. In a certain place in the territory, the white-robed Hun Dun stood on the mountain peak with his hands behind his back. He was in high spirits, and a pair of sharp eyes shot straight into the sky. 12, almost there. The subordinates standing behind him also revealed excited expressions. If it was not for the leader of such a big event, they would never be able to participate in it for the rest of their lives. They did not even dare to think about it. It was quite a heaven-defying thing. 8 divine emperors, you must be very anxious now. When the barrier between the upper and lower realms is broken again, it will be interesting. The white-robed Hun Dun turned his eyes to another place. Kid, my 200 billion divine sparks are not that easy to get. Since the inexplicable voice appeared, Lin Fei had a bad feeling. It seemed that this matter was done by the white-robed Hun Dun. Apart from him, it seemed that no one else could cause such a movement. Soon, the ultimate god minor giant who was working with Lin Fei sent someone to deliver the news. The person who came was a divine king, and he said respectfully, "My lord said that the 8 divine emperors will personally come to the god's lightning mountain to hold the fort. They will not rule out the possibility of doing it themselves. You must be prepared." What exactly is the reason? Lin Fei smiled bitterly in his heart. He now understood that the 200 billion divine sparks were not that easy to get. Perhaps this was the white-robed Hun Dun's real goal. Because the sky pillar is broken. Speak human language. Chapter 1837. P.S. Let me explain. I went out of town yesterday, and it took me more than 10 hours. I drove home and was about to rest before writing. I fell asleep the moment I lay down on my bed. I'm sorry. Lin Fei was startled on the spot. How is that possible? The immortal realm and the divine realm were 2 different worlds. How could they be together? Although he despised Di Tian's ignorance in his heart, he didn't show it on his face. He explained, "Fellow Taoist Di Tian, there's something you're not aware of. A long time ago, the immortal world and the immortal world were under the same sky. The immortal world was also a place where the talents of the immortal world were nurtured. After a series of unforeseen events, the immortal world was sealed in the lower realm and became an independent world. The heaven pillar was used to separate the immortal world. Now that the heaven pillar has been destroyed, the immortal world will return to the embrace of the immortal world. This was not good. Lin Fei did not expect the immortal realm and the divine realm to have such a relationship. Originally, with the existence of the immortal realm as a barrier, Lin Fei did not have to worry about anything. Even if a godly venerable came, he would be able to put up a fight. However, if the immortal realm returned to the embrace of the divine realm, did that mean that the people of the divine realm could ignore the restrictions of the heavenly axiom and descend into the immortal realm? Lin Fei knew very well that if that day really came, a large group of godly venerables would appear behind him to kill him. Of course, there would also be a large group of divine kings behind them. It's a good thing that the immortal realm and the divine realm have returned to the same level. From now on, I won't have to go through the trouble of condensing divine power. Lin Fei laughed. There was not a hint of worry on his face. The divine king really wanted to see Di Tian's frightened expression, but unfortunately, he did not get to see it. Instead, he was stunned by Di Tian's words. He did not understand why Di Tian would say such a thing. Was he not worried that the people of the divine realm would seek revenge? The messenger God King said a few more words before turning around and leaving. After all, his mission was to pass on the message. As for the rest, he didn't need to worry about it. In any case, there would be someone else to worry about it. The white primal chaos really knows how to trick people. I knew it wouldn't be so easy. He wants me to be on the front line. In his heart, Lin Fei cursed the white-robed chaos no less than 100 times. Now that he had gotten himself into such a big trouble, his previous uneasy speculation had finally been verified. Originally, Lin Fei felt that he could easily complete the 1-month promise in the remaining time, but now it seemed that this promise was not going to be easy to fulfill. The higher-ups would definitely come to stop the white-robed chaos crazy behavior. The attitude of the 8 great divine emperors was evident from their presence. I have to think of a way. Lin Fei could feel the impending crisis above his head. The most important thing was how to deal with it. If a mighty army of godly monarchs descended, they would be able to grind him to death sooner or later. This seemed like a stupid method, but it was also the safest method. The only thing Lin Fei could rely on now was the system. Now, not only did they have to block the experts from the lower realms, they also had to suppress them within a certain range to prevent them from affecting the 8 gates of God. Such a big business deal, Lin Fei did not want to spoil it. As long as he could persevere for a day, the benefits would not be small. Little devil, do you know about the heaven-bearing pillar? Lin Fei called out the little devil. Let me check first. The little devil did not say it immediately. Instead, he began to search for information. In less than a moment, the results came out. The heaven-bearing pillar is a special existence that can support 2 different levels of the world. In general, there are a total of 99 such heaven-bearing pillars. Just now, I did a search and found that 12 of the heaven-bearing pillars in the lower realms have broken. 12, not too bad. This situation could not be considered too bad. Then how long do you think the heaven-bearing pillars can persevere for? What will the situation be like after all of them are broken? Lin Fei asked. It would be best if there were 3 dimensions. Lin Fei had to figure out these situations. Fortunately, the system did not disappoint him. The little devil said that he needed a sum of 200,000 godhoods. With a wave of his hand, Lin Fei took out 200,000 godhoods. Once the 3 dimensions appeared, Lin Fei narrowed his eyes. The little devil explained. According to my analysis, after all the heaven-bearing pillars are broken, the immortal world will return to the divine world. The original barrier in the middle will be completely lost. From then on, there will be no more restrictions. The divine power of the divine world will also not be restricted and can cover the entire immortal world. What else? Lin Fei asked again. According to my calculations, the immortal world should be a child world of the divine world. Even if the barrier is gone, it will be easy to go up. With Master's strength, it will be very easy to go up to the divine world. However, the heavenly Tao of the immortal world will still exist. Lin Fei finally heard something good. The heavenly Tao's restrictions were still there. This could solve a part of the problem. Are you sure it will still be there? How confident are you? Lin Fei did not care about anything else. The only thing he cared about was the heavenly Tao's restrictions. This was a big protective talisman. For the time being, there is an 80% chance. As for the remaining 20%, we will have to wait until the heaven-bearing pillars continue to break before we can further analyze it. The little devil said. 80%, that's enough. With this confidence, Lin Fei was quite satisfied. If the heaven-bearing pillars are broken, the people above will definitely stop the white-clothed chaos. They will definitely come down from the passage of gods. Even the God Emperor will personally take action. Do you have any good suggestions? Although he did not know the white-clothed chaos' true purpose, Lin Fei did not think that chaos would do something without a purpose. There must be a deeper meaning behind it. Lin Fei also had to think for himself. This was very important. He really wanted to hear the little devil's opinion. Master now has the strength of a 9 stars peak divine king. His main body's combat strength is quite good, but this is not enough. Master should quickly upgrade the 18 primordial divine kings to the level of 9 stars peak divine kings. Also, modify the warships to form a unique deterrent that can satisfy Master's influence in the celestial realm. As long as the heavenly Tao's restrictions are still in place, Master will have the capital to speak to the people above. The little devil's opinion was very pertinent. This was also the fastest thing that Lin Fei could do. Then, is it better for me to advance to the ultimate god rank? Lin Fei asked again. The little devil shook her head and denied Lin Fei's words. Not at the moment. Master's advancement to the ultimate god rank cannot be satisfied by ordinary godheads. What you need is an ultimate god rank godhead. This changed? When he first advanced to the 9 stars peak divine king, Lin Fei did not pay attention to the advancement to the ultimate god rank. He thought it was the same as before. It seemed like he had made a mistake. Advancing to the ultimate god rank required an ultimate god rank godhead. This was not an easy task. No wonder the little devil did not recommend it. Then I'd better modify the warships first. Lin Fei pondered for a moment and decided to upgrade the warships first. This thing was more lethal. Chapter 1838. Lin Fei was stunned by the sudden good news. Ah, it can be modified? Why didn't you say so before? Lin Fei was dissatisfied because the previous few modifications were all done with a word from the little devil. Lin Fei was naturally going to complain. The little devil rolled his eyes. Master, the previous modifications were just ordinary modifications. The special modifications can only be carried out after the warship reaches a certain level. Lin Fei laughed dryly. He had misunderstood the little devil. Now, what's so good about the warship? Can I take a look? Lin Fei was looking forward to it. This was better news than upgrading. Of course. Hua hua hua. A virtual screen appeared in front of Lin Fei. Lin Fei saw many blueprints on the virtual screen. Each blueprint had a name written on it. At the same time, there was a series of corresponding modifications. No wonder. Oh right, my warship seems to be a level 4 warship now. Lin Fei understood that little devil's previous words were not wrong. These targeted modification projects could not be modified at will. It required a certain foundation. If they were to forcibly install it, the consequences would be that the giant ship could not bear it and would only collapse. The lowest modification level of the blueprints was level 4. None of them were lower than this level. Level 4 Energy Shield Blueprint, able to withstand a series of attacks. Level 4 Energy Laser Cannon Blueprint, able to create terrifying destructive attack. Level 5 Energy Shield Blueprint, able to withstand Level 5 attack. Level 5 Energy Shield Blueprint, able to withstand Level 5 power attack. Lin Fei was baffled by what he saw. This seems a little different. No matter how he looked at it, it felt very sci-fi. This was why Lin Fei was confused. The little devil said with a look of disdain. Humph, do you think these modifications are ordinary? For example, this level 4 energy shield can withstand a peak God King attack. The benefits of the system aren't as simple as you think. Lin Fei also felt that, after the system upgrade, it always gave people a feeling of not being able to see through it. Now, these blueprints had appeared, and every single one of them was a good thing. Lin Fei was drooling as he looked at them. As long as the giant ship had these modifications, it wouldn't be difficult to deal with the attacks from above. The prices of the blueprints weren't very expensive, and they were all paid with godhood. However, what made Lin Fei quite unhappy was that the blueprints didn't provide the materials, and he had to collect them himself while the system helped him modify them. This made Lin Fei very unhappy, extremely unhappy. What if we don't have the materials? Lin Fei's face darkened. You don't have to worry about that. The materials for the blueprint will be available, and most of them aren't rare materials. It's just that the people here won't be able to use them perfectly. The little devil laughed. Master, you can also think of it as a new technology. New technology was fine. Lin Fei came from Earth, and he understood that technology was the #1 driving force for development. With this kind of technology, Lin Fei quickly understood it. Thinking back to when he first got the system, if this wasn't new technology, then what was it? Then how many times can I modify with my current level? If he could get the things, Lin Fei wasn't worried that the little devil would lie to him. It was just a little troublesome, and he would get it sooner or later. There's no limit to the modification. You can modify anything within level 4. Lin Fei breathed a sigh of relief. He was worried about the restrictions before because he was satisfied with some of these blueprints. If he could make them, the giant warship in his hands could become a terrifying weapon of war. That's good. After confirming that there were no problems, Lin Fei immediately searched for a few suitable blueprints to modify the warship. It would be best if they were simple and easy to modify. Level 4 gravity barrier can create a gravitational field that can target a peak god king, and can also limit a godly venerable expert's speed by 40%. Level 4 superalloy. The hull can be transformed into a superalloy hull. It has a terrifying impact force that can destroy a god king, and can also hit a godly venerable expert 30%. These two blueprints caught Lin Fei's eye. What Lin Fei cared more about was the level 4 energy shield and level 4 superalloy. One for defense and one for attack. If they were combined with the gravity barrier, it would be the best. He wouldn't have to worry about people escaping from its range. The 3 blueprints weren't expensive. They were only 10 million godheads. After buying the 3 blueprints, Lin Fei opened the first one, which showed the specific materials. The first blueprint was a level 4 energy shield. What is this Luoshi? Lin Fei couldn't remember this name at all. And this heart jade stone. There weren't many materials on it, but he didn't recognize many of them. This made Lin Fei a little helpless. The little devil winked at Lin Fei. Master, these things aren't expensive. If you can't find others, you can actually find those people. They have a way. Lin Fei slapped his forehead. He realized he had walked into a dead end. He had neglected some important existences. For example, those godly venerables who were active in the upper realm. Lin Fei decisively came to a place not far from one of the gates of gods. There was a god king overseeing this place. "Oh right, it's you. Help me pass a message." The moment Lin Fei arrived, he said to the god king overseeing the place, "Go back and tell your lords that I have something good to share with them. If they miss this opportunity, it will be too late for regret." Lin Fei left after leaving those baffling words. This god king was sent down from the upper world. Before he came, he was warned repeatedly not to offend Di Tian. Who knew if Di Tian would suddenly kill him? What he needed to do was to take care of the door of gods. He couldn't be bothered with anything else. Even though he didn't like Dtion's attitude, this God King didn't dare to not report it. If it really was something good, he would suffer if he messed around. After Dtion left, he immediately used a secret channel to pass the news to his superiors. Lin Fei went to each of them one by one and left after leaving a message. One by one, the God Kings reported the news to their superiors. In the depths of a certain space, a sky-piercing pillar stood in the depths of space. One couldn't see the end of the sky-piercing pillar at a glance. A tiny figure stood in front of the sky-piercing pillar. Not far away, a huge projection appeared beside the pillar. Primal Chaos, are you sure you want to do this? A person stood in the projection, his face expressionless. Why not? The white-robed Primal Chaos laughed. The immortal world was originally a subworld of the divine world. I'm just bringing the subworld back into the embrace of the divine world. Then do you know what the consequences will be? Don't tell me you don't know. The white-robed Primal Chaos laughed loudly. I know, of course I know. Isn't it just a series of consequences? I knew it from the moment the first sky-piercing pillar broke. But what does that matter? I just feel that the divine world has been quiet for too long. This pool of stagnant water has to be stirred up. Chapter 1839. In order to deal with the divine realm's interference in the lower realm, Lin Fei had to take action. The appearance of the modification blueprint had undoubtedly given Lin Fei a good opportunity. After some consideration, he contacted the godly king stationed in the lower realm and asked him to pass the message on his behalf. Needless to say, the current ultimate god minor giants did not want to see Dtion killed. They did not want to know the relationship between Dtion and the white-robed chaos. They were very interested to know that Dtion had great news to tell them. Up until now, Dtion had many secrets. No matter what relationship he had with the white-robed chaos, such a person was still worth paying attention to. Especially under such circumstances, if Dtion contacted them to deal with the upper realm's troubles, they would definitely watch from the sidelines. They would never intervene in such matters and would despise Dtion's cowardly behavior. In less than half a day, the ultimate god minor giants really came down. Other than a few who did not come, the rest were almost all present. Dtion, if you don't give us a satisfactory explanation, don't blame us for being angry. One of the ultimate gods sneered. You have to know that we've risked our lives to come down. We don't want to listen to any trivial matters. The rest of the ultimate gods chimed in. Lin Fei recognized this ultimate god. He was the backer of the Sunluo overlord. Later on, he found out that his name was ultimate god Lu Ming. It was no wonder he could stir up everyone's emotions. Lin Fei did not care about such trivial matters. I agree with ultimate god Lu Ming's words 100%. As your partner, I don't like to play tricks. I like to be straightforward in everything I do. Lin Fei smiled. For example, I like to kill people I don't like on the spot. Fei's? There's no need to give it to me. This is called quick revenge. I'll be very unhappy if I drag things out. Ultimate god Lu Ming had suffered a small loss before and secretly scolded Dtion for being narrow-minded. I just said a few words. Do you have to say such things? People from the lower realm will always be people from the lower realm. You have no manners. Everyone did not have a deep understanding of Dtion, but they knew that he was not a good-tempered person. Previously, Supremacy Yin-Yang had suffered a small loss, and he was still brooding over it. Now that the 8 great god emperors are keeping watch, we've also taken a huge risk to come here. Little friend Dtion, if you have anything to say, just say it. As long as it doesn't affect the gate of gods, everything is negotiable. Another hierarch said, but he didn't mention anything about helping Dtion. We risked our lives to come down here. Let's talk about you. Lin Fei smiled and said, everyone here is a big shot, so I won't keep you in suspense. I just want to ask everyone, what do you think about my warship? None of the ultimate gods present could figure it out. Why did he bring this up out of nowhere? On the other hand, Ultimate God Lu Ming reacted quickly and seemed to realize something as a strange expression flashed across his face. So that's a warship. You've changed 2 words, but it sounds so much louder. Are you planning to sell this warship? Everyone didn't realize it at first, but when Ultimate God Lu Ming mentioned it, they reacted. So that's what he was talking about. They had all received news about the battle at God Lightning Mountain, and the most eye-catching was a strange warship. It wasn't easy to deal with heavenly gods and god kings. Even hierarchs couldn't break through the strange warship. Only now did they understand that the strange warship was called a warship. This was a good thing. Even though they didn't think much of it, it wasn't a bad thing to have one. It was a good thing to be able to take advantage of a hierarch. If it wasn't for the upper and lower realms, they would have forced D. Tian to hand it over long ago. So it's a warship. Its power is not bad. It's just SOSO. There are many warships in the divine world that are better than your warship. Lin Fei sneered in his heart. A bunch of shameless fellows, so thick-skinned. Oh, that's a pity. I was planning to make a batch to test it out, but it seems like it can't compare to those things. Lin Fei looked regretful as he shook his head. The hierarch who had just belittled the warship was stunned. He couldn't find a topic to talk about, so there was a short silence. You want to sell the warship? Lin Fei smiled bitterly and said, I have such a plan. I reinvented the warship from the battle fortress, and I classified the battle fortress as a level 1 warship. My current warship is a level 3 warship. It can suppress 10 to 30% of an hierarch's attack. It's a pity that none of you are interested in it. I originally wanted to help your forces improve their combat power, so that you won't suffer a great loss later. At that moment, the hierarch who had spoken earlier regretted his words. How could he have spoken so shamelessly? Great, now D. Tian didn't want to sell the warship. The fact that a level 3 warship could suppress some of an hierarch's combat power made their eyes light up. They finally understood why it could withstand the joint attack of 8 hierarchs. They didn't doubt D. Tian's words at all. He had the ability to do so. Even if it could only fight against a divine king, it would still be a terrifying weapon of war. After all, hierarchs were not cabbages that could be found anywhere. Divine king experts were the middle level of power in the divine realm. Lin Fei still ignored the shamelessness of a hierarch giant. As soon as those words were out, they immediately changed their tune and scrambled to ask more questions. D. Tian, my young friend, does that mean you're planning to sell the level 3 warship? I wonder how much energy it will consume. If there's a level 3 warship, will there be a level 4 warship in the future? As a hierarch giant in the divine realm, each of them had a large territory under them. How to increase the strength of their territories was also something they valued more. Every once in a while they would recruit troops and buy horses. After all, there were still many wars between hierarch giants. The warship that D. Tian mentioned this time undoubtedly made their eyes light up. Especially the last few words that involved the power of the lower realm, they were very concerned about it. Lin Fei found it funny. When you buy the warship, you won't be able to live without this good stuff. You'll still need to serve me then. The little devil also jumped out. Master is really not just a normal kind of bad. Chapter 1840. Boom, boom, boom. Somewhere near the battlefield of the Divine Tomb, beams of light blasted out, shattering several connected mountains. Lin Fei brought the divine venerable ones onto the battleship and showed them around. They were curious about the battleship at first, but they immediately saw how extraordinary it was after they got on board. If the previous battle fortress had been good, it would have been child's play. However, the battleship's power was on another level. They were amazed by its various functions. They were even more curious about D. Tian's background. After seeing the divine power pool, they couldn't believe that such a good thing existed. It could convert energy into divine power and save them a lot of trouble. This caused the warship to look extraordinary, and they were tempted to look at it. A battleship that could fight against a divine king. If they had such a battleship, they would have a great advantage in the future. They were glad that they had come down. If they had missed it, they would have regretted it for a long time. Tion, my young friend, can this divine power pool really convert divine stones and divine veins? Asked an ultimate god. Will it slow down? Can it be more efficient? That was what the ultimate gods were thinking. Although the battle fortress was famous, it was in the lower world. It was very troublesome to measure one piece, so it was best not to use it if possible. It could only be used as a deterrent. Lin Fei grabbed a large pile of divine stones and threw them into the divine power pool. Everyone saw the divine stones being surrounded by a force as soon as they entered the divine power pool. The divine stones melted in front of them and the divine power entered the divine power pool. What a wonderful divine power pool! With this divine power pool, one can replenish the divine power consumed in the shortest time possible. It's extraordinary. They couldn't believe their eyes. Now they finally understood why Tion was able to continuously attack and suppress the attacks of the 8 godly venerables in the god world. It was because of this reason. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have understood it at all. They couldn't figure it out even if they racked their brains. Sun Luo didn't lose for nothing. Hierarch Lu Ming smiled bitterly. Previously, he was still wondering why the Sun Luo overlord would lose. Now that he knew the secret of the divine power pond, as long as he had enough divine stones, nothing would be a problem. This warship is indeed several times stronger than the battle fortress. The speed of the conversion is also inconceivably fast. Even the Grandmaster Blacksmiths of the Firmament, or even the Grandmaster Blacksmiths of the Formation and Restriction Grandmaster Blacksmiths of the Firmament might not be able to do it. These godly venerable realm powerhouses were full of ideas. After seeing the pool of divine power, he knew that it contained deep secrets. If he could get his hands on it, he would be able to expand his influence in the immortal world in the shortest time possible. They secretly used their divine senses to investigate, but no matter how hard they tried, they were still blocked by a force, unable to enter. In the end, they had no choice but to give up. Thinking about it, Tion dared to bring them in because he wasn't worried that someone would be able to decipher the secrets within. After visiting the divine power pool, Lin Fei introduced many aspects of the warship in person. This is a level 3 attack cannon with a total of 1,000 cannons. It can form a net-like attack. Each cannon's attack can seriously injure a divine king. Even a peak 9 stars divine king can be easily killed as long as they're targeted. A total of 1,000 cannons were fired and the mountain not far in front of them was turned into nothingness. The godly venerable realm powerhouses couldn't help but admire such a terrifying attack. They could also see how terrifying it was. Endless attacks with no gaps in between were truly terrifying. They even wondered if the warship could be used against godly venerable realm powerhouses if it were to be upgraded again. If the attack power was upgraded again, it would be very troublesome for them to resist. Perhaps even their defensive treasures would not be able to withstand such an attack. The mountain not far away was blasted to the ground. The godly venerable realm powerhouses were silent. Before seeing the warship, they would at most pay attention to it. After seeing it for themselves, they knew the benefits of the warship. Previously, they had tried to show Tion their strength. If Tion bombarded them with the warship's cannons, the result was obvious. Their divine senses would definitely not be able to stop such an attack. This was the change in their expressions that Lin Fei wanted. As long as he did not go up, no one could ignore his right to speak in the lower realm. Everyone here is a knowledgeable person. Originally, I wasn't planning to sell this warship. Lin Fei changed his tone, but, as a partner, I like to share good things with everyone. Of course, the most important thing is that I don't like the 8 immortal emperors. If I can make the 8 immortal emperors unhappy, I'll be very happy. It's the same for you. I'm afraid you don't like the 8 immortal emperors. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. We're not only partners, but also friends. Don't you agree? The godly venerable realm powerhouses present did not like the 8 divine emperors. They could only play petty tricks on normal days. They would undoubtedly be very happy if they could make the 8 divine emperors suffer a setback in the lower realm. Dtion's words undoubtedly made them very satisfied. They would be very happy if the 8 divine emperors were unhappy. Since Dtion had made it so clear, how could they not understand what he meant? They were not worthy of being godly venerable realm powerhouses. Little friend Dtion, what's the price of this warship? I'm going to buy one and give it a try. Ultimate God Lu Ming was the first to speak. In the face of benefits, they could not even mention the previous small matters. After all, their biggest enemy was the divine emperors. We're partners and friends. I also need this warship. I love listening to little friend Dtion's words the most. I'm definitely going to be friends with you. At that moment, those godly venerable realm powerhouses were thinking of getting a few warships to bring back. As long as they had the warship, they would not have to worry about divine power. They had heard that not only could the divine power pool convert divine power, but it could also absorb free divine power. With such a weapon in hand, the 8 divine emperors would definitely suffer a great loss. Most importantly, they really did not dare to offend Dtion. They did not know what the future would be like. As long as Dtion was hiding in the lower realm, it would not be easy for them to deal with him. If Dtion was really angry, they would be wiped out no matter how many people they had with him. Generally speaking, they did not have much hatred for Dtion. It was better to make friends with Dtion than to offend him. He was a divine king at such a young age. It was hard to guarantee that he would not become an ultimate god in the future. Moreover, he was still studying the warship. If there was a breakthrough, it would be a headache for the ultimate gods. Chapter 1841. What Lin Fei wanted was to sell the warship. Its grade would definitely not be the same as it was now. He would take it one step at a time. He would sell the lower grade first. Over time, no one would be able to enjoy the benefits of the warship. Selling such a warship was not a big price to pay. Lin Fei could afford it. All the ultimate gods present wanted to buy it back. They had never been so eager before. Moreover, they were willing to do so. This was very rare. It's definitely not a problem to sell you this warship. It's just that its grade won't be as high as this one. This is the only one of its kind. I can only sell a second-grade warship to you. You have to be clear about this. However, the difference in power will not be too big, said Lin Fei. The ultimate gods had no objections. As long as the difference was not too big, being able to fight against a divine king was better than expected. No problem. As long as it can fight against a divine king. I don't know when we can have a warship. Lin Fei said that he would have the warship ready in 5 days. It's just that the warship needs some special materials. It's not easy to get them in the lower realm. I would like to ask for your help to get these materials down. The materials needed to make a warship were very simple. They could be obtained in the lower realm. Lin Fei did not want to make it sound so easy. He briefly explained that the warship lacked materials for attack parts. The ultimate gods present understood what he meant. When they saw the list of materials Dtion took out, they were really shocked. They thought it was some precious materials, but it turned out to be some ordinary materials. The ultimate gods patted their chests and promised to get the materials immediately. It was a small matter for them to get some materials that were not very precious for the warship. Their faces were also filled with joy. Previously, they always felt embarrassed in front of Dtion. He could already research such a warship. If he could also research a 4th-grade warship, their cultivation as ultimate gods would be wasted. The ultimate gods did not disappoint Lin Fei. In less than half a day, all the materials on the list had been delivered. They couldn't wait to get their hands on a warship. Lin Fei's offer was not cheap, so the ultimate gods agreed to buy one to try it out without batting an eyelid. Once the materials were in hand, Lin Fei left Lin Yi to guard the place while he chose a place to modify. In the eyes of the godly venerable rank powerhouses, Di Tian was going to build a warship. Use the rank 4 energy shield blueprint. This meant that the defense of the warship would be raised to another level. Lin Fei also realized that it was a good partnership to negotiate with the divine venerables. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to obtain these materials, let alone carry out the modifications so easily. Half a day later, the level 4 energy shield was completed. Inside the warship, there was another divine power pool to supply the energy shield. Lin Fei was not worried about this. This time, he had sold more than a dozen warships. Just the divine stones and divine veins alone were a large sum. Lin Fei knew he didn't have much time. With the first blueprint done, Lin Fei immediately moved on to the second blueprint. Boom, boom, boom. In the sky above the divine graveyard, boundless lightning balls descended from the passage of the gods, landing near the passage of the gods. Heaven and earth trembled. Lin Fei was still in the middle of the modification. He was startled awake and his face darkened. Damn, they're here. At this time, Lin Fei knew that the situation was not good. He flew to the sky above the divine graveyard and saw the lightning balls descending from the passage of the gods, destroying everything. They really know how to choose the right time. Lin Fei couldn't help but frown. They just had to appear during the modification. Looks like I have to risk my life. The warship was still being modified. Lin Fei temporarily couldn't control it. He had to wait until the modification was complete. Fortunately, I summoned a large number of godly kings. No matter what, I have to guard the passage of the gods. Lin Fei didn't want such a good deal to be ruined. He still lacked godheads. In the passage of the gods, the lightning balls attacked, acting as the vanguard. Lin Fei stood in the sky. He had to admit that the divine world's foundation was indeed deep. They knew to put down the lightning balls first. The power of these lightning balls was enough to injure godly kings. Looks like they suspect that I have a large number of people near the passage of the gods. It wasn't hard for Lin Fei to guess what they were thinking. As the lightning balls attacked the passage of the gods, a sharp aura came from behind. It turned out that they were using the lightning balls to clear the path and eliminate any potential danger. Damn, they're all godly kings. Inside the passage of the gods, a black mass of people appeared. From the aura they emitted, Lin Fei knew that they were godly kings. Just the first wave alone had over 10,000 godly kings, and they appeared in the vicinity of the passage of the gods. Lin Yi, bring people over and restrict them to the vicinity of the passage of the gods. We can't let them destroy the door of the gods. At this time, there was also a black mass of people behind Lin Fei. These were all godly kings. From the moment he knew that primal chaos was behind this, Lin Fei knew that this day would come. If primal chaos was willing to do this, it couldn't be a small matter. As for the return of the immortal world to the divine world, Lin Fei didn't believe that was true. There should be a deeper secret that he didn't know about. Now that they were here, Lin Fei had to stop them. Originally, he didn't plan to send out the godly kings so early, but now he had no choice. The only thing that Lin Fei could rejoice about was that the passage of the gods couldn't accommodate too many godly kings. Kill them! Lin Yi wasn't the strongest, but with Lin Fei's name, his nature was different. He became the only commander, and with a single order, he led the charge. The godly kings who came down from the divine world were prepared. When they saw that the number of godly kings was no less than theirs, they revealed serious expressions. This didn't match the information they had received. How could there be so many godly kings in the lower realm? But now they couldn't think about it, because the godly kings were charging over. Everyone, kill them! Kill them all! All sorts of treasures were taken out. A great battle broke out in an instant. A terrifying aura soared into the sky, reverberating in the sky above the divine graveyard. Terrifying energy waves swept across the sky. Lin led his subordinates, each of them like wolves and tigers. They didn't give the godly kings a chance to regroup. First, they threw out godly king exploding beads, causing them to be unable to regroup. Then, they took the opportunity to crush them. The godly kings from the divine world didn't expect that there would be such a large-scale attack. They were immediately caught off guard and suffered heavy casualties. Lin Fei's side had the upper hand. Before Lin Fei could heave a sigh of relief, a second wave of godly kings descended from the passage of the gods. They joined the battle immediately, wave after wave, without stopping. Chapter 1842. Half a day passed. Blood flowed like a river near the passage of the gods. A god king's blood and chi were so thick that it was enough to reach this level after half a day of killing. Even those at the door of the gods could smell the thick stench of blood. At this moment, when they stared at Tian again, their faces were filled with fear and worship. Everyone here had heard of Tian's name before, but this was their first time witnessing a battle between god kings. If not for the god kings protecting them, just the pressure of a god king was enough to make them feel unbearable. Such a tragic god king battle made their scalps go numb. Many people thought that Tian had a powerful background, but they never thought that his background was so powerful that he could command a large group of god kings. How many god kings have died? There must be more than 100,000. I thought that my talent was not bad, and that after becoming a god king I would be someone. Now it seems that god kings are nothing. Yeah, I even saw a few 7-star divine kings being directly blasted into pieces, just now. Fortunately, we are working with Tian, so we don't have to worry about him attacking us. If anyone said that Tian was easy to bully, they would definitely look at him in disdain. A god king had a huge influence in the lower realm. Now that god kings were fighting a bloody battle, one after another, they fell. Who would dare say that Tian was easy to bully? Thinking about it, it was really laughable. Previously, so many people thought that Tian was easy to bully. If today's events were to spread, everyone would involuntarily tremble. This was an unimaginable gap. In the sky, Lin Fei sat with a golden saber. In half a day's time, 60% of the god kings that were sent out had died. Such a huge number of casualties caused Lin Fei's heart to ache. Fortunately, the god world side did not have it easy either. Many of them had died as well. Lin Fei was already used to the intense battle. These god kings were created through god king godheads, and were born to fight. That was why he felt so much better. 8 god emperors. If you want to play, let's continue. Anyway, there are only 10 days left. Lin Fei was very calm. He secretly arranged for people to take back the godhead. God kings, who was afraid of who? As long as there was a god king godhead, there was no need to worry about not being able to create a god king. Divine Thunder Mountain. At this moment it was a scene of desolation. The black mass of godly monarchs lined up neatly and took turns to enter the revolving passageway. These people all had excited and disdainful expressions. They did not place much importance on the lower realm. They were godly monarchs. This time, the 8 god emperors summoned the godly monarchs to the lower realms. To the godly monarchs, if they could make great contributions in the lower realms, they would definitely be able to leave a good impression on the god emperors. Far away from the whirlpool, the 8 ultimate gods stood calmly with their eyes fixed on one direction from time to time. That was the god Thunderclap Mountain, because the 8 great divine emperors were at the peak of the gods' Thunder Mountain. They stayed here to command the god kings under them in case anything went wrong. Last time, the people from the lower realm had killed quite a number of godly king experts, and almost all the people stationed outside were killed. They were very angry and had sent people down several times, but they were all annihilated. Helpless, they could only report to the Divine Emperor and ask for the treasures that the Divine Emperor bestowed upon them. They wanted to kill the people when they were unprepared, but they were all annihilated. This time, the 8 godly venerables had no other choice. This time, something big had happened in the divine world. As godly venerables, they naturally knew what was going on. The 8 great divine emperors were personally overseeing the situation. As godly venerables, they also took command. They were prepared to wipe away their previous humiliation and take revenge, so that Guy would regret offending them. This time, not only did they seal the flow of divine power, but they also organized a large number of godly kings to take turns to deal with them. They had still underestimated the people below. Half a day had passed and hundreds of thousands of god kings were still unable to occupy the gate of gods. The 8 hierarchs were starting to get anxious. According to their investigations, there was only one guy called Tion on the battlefield in the divine tomb. He relied on a strange battleship and could launch terrifying attacks. The strategy of taking turns to wear him down was to deal with him. Continue to arrange people. I don't believe that Tion can continue to hold on. This time, we have gathered 10 million godly kings. Each family has mobilized 25 million godly kings. Even if we spit a mouthful of water, we can drown that guy. Tion can't hold on for that long. The 8 godly venerables were anxious, but they did not think that Tion could stop the godly kings from going down. It was only a matter of time. If it wasn't for the restriction of the lower realm's heavenly Tao, they would have personally gone down to take care of Tion. No one had ever dared to kill someone in their territory and left calmly. They had never been able to swallow this anger. No matter what, they had to find an opportunity to deal with Tion. On the peak of the god Lightning Mountain, the 8 godly emperors gathered together once again. They did not care much about the passage of gods. It was just a small matter. The 8 of them had been in the divine world for a long time. Jingyi, is primal chaos really going to make things difficult for everyone? Immortal Emperor God Emperor said coldly. Jingyi was the one who had previously projected down. He was also the one who had told primal chaos not to regret it. Primal chaos has completely turned into a devil. If I had known earlier, I would have killed him back then. Today's trouble wouldn't have happened. Godly Emperor Jingyi said, the heaven-bearing pillar was set up by us back then to separate the immortal world from the other subworlds. Once all of them are broken, it will lead to a series of consequences. The most troublesome thing is that the other subworlds will be liberated and the people who were suppressed will be released. How troublesome! The other godly emperors revealed killing intent. Sigh, if we could have killed him, we would have done so long ago. Primal chaos is not like us. He was born from the primal chaos. We can only suppress him, not kill him. Damn primal chaos. This time, we have to take care of primal chaos no matter what. The destruction of the heaven-bearing pillar had a huge impact and was rather troublesome. That was also a headache for them. If the heaven-bearing pillar was an ordinary item, they would not have such a headache. In fact, it involved a lot of things and also related to the location of the item. Primal Chaos definitely wants to break the other 5 subworlds to restore the glory of the divine world. We have to severely injure Primal Chaos in the shortest time possible, or even seal him back. Pantheon Godly Emperor said, once the heaven-bearing pillar is broken, the 6 subworlds will return and those sealed fellows will see the light of day again. It will definitely affect our current rule. Chapter 1843. The battle had gone on for a day and a night. The divine graveyard battlefield was filled with a strong smell of blood. Both sides had suffered heavy casualties. The only thing that was unclear was Tion's side. He kept sending divine king experts to block the 8 Shenhuang's men. In the eyes of the divine venerable rank minor giants, he was becoming more and more mysterious. At this time, the divine world was also paying attention to the lower realm. Tion's name also fell into the eyes of the upper echelons of the divine world. They were all speculating whether Tion was a subordinate of the chaotic Shenhuang. Other than this explanation, It was difficult to explain where these divine kings came from. After sending millions of divine kings down, the 8 Shen Huang still could not occupy the passage of the gods. This undoubtedly shocked the people of the divine world. This kind of battle was not common in the divine world. After all, in the divine world ruled by the 8 Shen Huang, there would at most be small skirmishes. This level of battle was rare. Now that a person suspected of being a chaotic Shen Huang from the lower realm could do this, they had to take it seriously. They realized that the chaotic Shen Huang who suppressed the chaotic Shen Huang in the past still had unimaginable power. The lower realm could not cultivate an endless stream of divine kings. The only reason was that the chaotic Shen Huang still had his own men in the divine world and secretly arranged for them to go down. This battle gathered the attention of all the upper echelons of the divine world. Those who were secretly unhappy with the Shen Huang clapped and cheered in private. Losing some divine kings was not a big loss to the Shen Huang. It was undoubtedly a great thing to be able to disgust the Shen Huang. More people were guessing how long the other party could last. You people are quite bold. Lin Fei was still sitting with a golden saber. His expression was still calm. It had been a day and a night since the battle began. With fellow Taoist Di Tian holding the fort, the troops of the 8 great divine emperors can't come in. The price paid is absolutely worth it. And now, the upper echelons of the immortal world know about fellow Taoist Di Tian. The divine venerable rank minor giants sent another day's rent. The divine kings in front of them were entrusted by them. I don't care if I'm a top figure or not. Lin Fei felt very comfortable. Go back and tell them that as long as they're not afraid, I'll defend the passageway of the gods. Your investment won't be in vain. I'm a man of my word. Also, tell them that the Grade 3 warships are almost ready. The rent was of great help to Lin Fei. It was like sending charcoal in snowy weather. After sending off the God King, Lin Fei looked at the battlefield not far away again. Those fellows are really bold. It seems that cooperating with them was the right choice. What Lin Fei lacks now is godhood. In a day and a night, hundreds of thousands of God King powerhouses have fallen, and this is just the beginning. There are still 9 days until the time of guarding. Once the modifications are completed, it won't be so troublesome. Batches of godhoods were used to summon the God King. Lin Fei threw caution to the wind. Now, they just had to wait for the warship's modifications to be completed. After all, it would take a long time to modify the hull. In Little Devil's words, it would take 3 days. Lin Fei looked at the countdown timer. There were still 2 more days before the modification could be completed. He could only continue. The battle was also getting more and more intense. The number of God King powerhouses sent by the God Realm was also constantly increasing. Lin Fei's God Kings were also constantly being sent out. In another half a day, he had lost 600,000 God Kings. It was a terrifying number. Hairball, when are you going to advance? Lin Fei contacted Hairball, who was on the battlefield. From the start of the battle, Lin Fei released Hairball and let her eat to her heart's content. The flesh and blood of these God Kings contained powerful blood, qi, and divinity. After eating so much, Lin Fei really didn't believe that Hairball wouldn't be able to advance. Immortal beast and divine beast, the difference in strength was like heaven and earth. Master, this is delicious. Hairball sent a vague message. Lin Fei rolled his eyes. I'm being serious. You have already eaten the flesh and blood of millions of God Kings. Can't you advance to a divine beast? Hairball's current combat strength wasn't very strong. She didn't have any advantage in this kind of battle. However, she had a huge advantage. She could move as she pleased. Using her to devour the flesh and blood of God Kings was the best. Soon. I feel like my body is filled with energy. Once I digest it, the great me will become the one and only primordial evil dragon divine beast. Hairball burped and moved again, swallowing large mouthfuls of flesh and blood. Lin Fei could only say, then continue eating. Lin Fei wasn't nervous. As long as the hierarch didn't come down, there was nothing for Lin Fei to worry about. It was just losing God Kings. He could afford it. He cursed the white-robed chaos in his heart. Of all the things he could do, why did he have to break the sky pillar? Couldn't he do something meaningful? Boom, boom, boom. 2 hours later, several terrifying auras came from heaven and earth. Lin Fei subconsciously stood up and looked in one direction. In that direction, he felt a boundlessly tyrannical power appear in the territory, descending without any warning. This kind of terrifying aura descended several times in a row and then disappeared. It's a divine emperor. Lin Fei's face suddenly darkened. His mind kept turning. This aura must belong to a divine emperor. Only a divine emperor can easily descend into the territory. The hierarch can't do this. It seems that they're targeting the chaotic divine emperor. Damn, the chaotic divine emperor is really a troublemaker. It's best to look for him instead of me. I think such big shots like them won't look for me. Lin Fei's mind turned quickly. He realized that something big was about to happen. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, the territory shook. Chaotic Divine Emperor, this emperor said that you'll regret it. The cold voice spread across the territory and fell into Lin Fei's ears. His body trembled slightly. They're really taking action. Ha ha ha, you're afraid. Afraid that this emperor will unlock the seals of the other 5 subworlds. Afraid that the rule of the 8 divine emperors will weaken. Then came the voice of Chaotic Divine Emperor. At this moment, everyone in the territory was trembling. Even though it was just a sound, it still caused the experts of the territories to be shocked. No one knew what had happened. Everything had happened too suddenly. Lin Fei already knew that they had started fighting. Lin Fei had no interest in watching a battle of this level. The matter in front of him was the thing that gave him a headache. If one of the 8 divine emperors appeared in the passage of the gods, it would be troublesome. Moreover, the warship's modification was not complete. That was the real problem. Boom! Suddenly, the passage of the gods trembled as if it could not bear the power. Lin Fei's face darkened again. Damn, it's really a jinx. Whatever I say comes true. Chapter 1844. As soon as the terrifying aura descended, Lin Fei knew that things were not looking good. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The aura swept across everyone like a storm. The intense battle stopped in an instant, as if it was frozen by an inexplicable force. Everyone looked towards the passage of the gods. This is bad. Lin Fei immediately entered the 10,000 layers of space, his figure constantly moving. So it's a little fellow who can control space. The primal chaos has found a good helper, but it's a pity that you followed the wrong person. A faint voice came from the passage of the gods. Lin Fei's heart shook. His originally constantly moving figure seemed to have encountered mud. His movements became slower and slower, and finally stopped in one of the spaces. At this moment, in front of everyone, Lin Fei seemed to be in the same sky, but in fact, his real body was not in the sky, but moving in the 10,000 layers of space. You are that God Emperor. This was the first time someone broke through his space movement, and to be able to do it to this extent so easily, it was obvious that only a God Emperor could do it. In the 10,000 layers of space, a middle-aged man in a brocade robe appeared, his sharp eyes swept over like a divine emperor, his body emitting a terrifying chill. God Emperor! A real God Emperor! This emperor is Shin Tian God Emperor, you can die now. Shin Tian God Emperor was a little surprised by the little fellow in front of him. At this realm, to be able to control space at such a deep level, he was also a proud son of heaven, comparable to the younger generation of the divine world. Unfortunately, this child was a subordinate of the primal chaos God Emperor. Whoosh! Shin Tian God Emperor casually pointed a finger, a huge golden finger poking the space where Lin Fei was. The huge space collapsed into fragments, and even Lin Fei was swept into the endless fragments. Shin Tian God Emperor did not care about such a little fellow. His figure moved, appearing in the sky above the passage of the gods. You guys handle this. At this moment, 8 figures appeared in the passage of the gods. Their auras were a lot weaker than the god emperors. They were actually the 8 hierarchs in the divine world. All of them had come down. Understood. The 8 hierarchs answered. Without that guy, the trouble here wouldn't be a problem. They could deal with it. Shenhuang Shintian had only taken care of a small matter. After giving some instructions, he disappeared. No one knew where he went. The moment he disappeared, the pressure on the battlefield of the divine tomb also disappeared completely. Kill! Kill them all. They're bound to lose. The Lord is here. Brothers, kill with all your might. The deity king from the upper realm, who had been holding his breath all this while, seemed to be on steroids. Once the pressure disappeared, he shouted and charged forward. As the god-kings of the god world, they often fought on the battlefield. This was the first time they had suffered a loss in the lower realm. Since the hierarch had come down, they were more than willing to show off. The 8 ultimate gods did not take action personally. Without that little fellow, nothing here was an obstacle. What they needed to do now was to kill all the people from the 8 gates of the gods to teach those hierarch powerhouses in the dark a lesson. They would let them know that scheming in front of the God Emperor was not a good thing. They should behave themselves. When the people from the 8 gates of the gods saw the God Emperor appear, they knew that something was wrong. When the 8 hierarchs flew over, they knew that they were in big trouble. According to the 8 great God Emperors, they would not be polite just because they were the subordinates of the hierarch. They would directly treat them as the people of the chaotic God Emperor to teach their master a deep lesson. It was also a kind of warning to not meddle. All of you deserve to die. The hierarch from the Zhengyi sect flew over. This God Emperor was called the Heaven Hierarch. He was also an old hierarch. He was full of righteousness like a blazing sun. Boom! The righteousness flew out and turned into a blazing sun, appearing in the sky above the gates of the gods. The terrible heat rolled over. The heavenly god experts were instantly evaporated. Even the divine kings did not have it easy. They struggled to resist, but they could not withstand this kind of attack. This was the power of an hierarch avatar. His strength was also at the peak of the divine king realm. The effect was far from what ordinary divine kings could resist. It would not take long for everyone present to be killed. The 8 hierarchs were angry that they could not conquer the divine tomb battlefield after such a long time. The people in front of them had become their punching bags. How could they not be satisfied if they did not kill some of them? Get lost! The heaven hierarch used his righteousness and almost killed everyone present. He did not pay attention to the situation around him. All of a sudden, a giant blade the size of a door fell and sent the sky ultimate god flying with just one slash. How dare you attack my customer? The person who flashed out was none other than Lin Fei. The heaven hierarch's attack was terrifying. Fortunately, Lin Fei activated his invincible defense and blocked the attack. He was not killed. He was sucked into the spatial fragments and finally came out. Seeing the 8 hierarch avatars attacking the people from the gates of the gods, Lin Fei was filled with anger. The hierarch was bullying the weak. He could not win, but a few hierarchs dared to come and cause trouble. Did they think this was the divine world? Did they think he could get another batch of godheads? The blade cut the heaven hierarch. Lin Fei waved his blade and shattered the blazing sun in the sky. He pounced on the heaven hierarch like a ferocious tiger. Divine level blade slash. The blade flashed. The heaven hierarch was caught off guard. When he saw the person in front of him, he was shocked. You are actually unharmed. While he was still in a daze, the saber light struck his body again. The defense in front of his chest was blasted open. This is the lower realm. You hierarch want to kill me? Dream on. Lin Fei slashed again with his door-sized giant blade. This time, Lin Fei planned to kill all the Hierarch avatars. Boom! Boom! Lin Fei's saber was fierce and ferocious. He slashed at the ultimate god's body more than a dozen times in a row. The ultimate god spat out blood and his armor was also broken. His eyes were filled with horror. How could there be such a ferocious guy in the lower realm? All of this happened in the blink of an eye. Although the Heaven Hierarch was a Hierarch avatar, he had the combat power of a peak divine king. He had no time to fight back and was constantly being attacked. Xiaotian, come help me. The Heaven Hierarch had no doubt that he would be killed on the spot if this continued. The divine power in his body was being consumed like water. Xiaotian Hierarch was an old man who had a good relationship with the Heaven Hierarch. He turned around and saw a black-clothed man attacking the Heaven Hierarch fiercely with a blade. The Heaven Hierarch could not fight back. He was shocked. He took a closer look and could not help but gasp. This kid could survive the Hierarch's attack. Kid, how dare you? Chapter 1845. In a certain territory in the lower realm, a white silhouette quickly flew over a mountain range. Suddenly, the white figure was attacked by a pagoda and smashed into the mountain range below. The black pagoda was also sent flying. Chaos, you can't escape today. We were able to suppress you back then, and we can do the same now. You asked for it. A middle-aged man walked out of the sky and looked at the mountain range that was raised to the ground not far away with a serious face. A white figure rushed out of the ruins and stood in the sky. Chaos Divine Fist, World Suppression Fist. The white figure's aura surged as he displayed a set of tyrannical fist technique. His whole body also turned into a world and blasted toward the middle-aged man. You want to suppress me? Let's see if you have the ability. That white figure was Chaos in white. The fist technique was earth-shattering. I haven't seen your fist technique for a long time. I wonder if you've improved after so many years. The middle-aged man also went up and used the same fist technique. Boom, boom, boom. A huge part of the sky collapsed and the black space connected together. Astral winds howled incessantly, causing the two's hair to flutter in the wind. Creation, you've lost. A figure was sent flying. Chaos in white stood with his hands behind his back. Your creation divine fist is still the same as before. You only have the power of creation, but it's not as good as my chaos divine fist. The divine emperor who was sent flying was creation divine emperor. If his creation divine fist is not good, then what about us? Several figures appeared in the sky again. They were the 8 divine emperors who surrounded Chaos in white. Chaos in white still stood with his hands behind his back. Great, all of you are here. Unfortunately, it's just an avatar instead of your true bodies. You're too full of yourselves. Chaos, are you going to surrender, or do you want us to do it? Divine Emperor Jing Yi said coldly. Chaos in white laughed. Ha ha ha, you're not qualified. Chaos in white charged toward Divine Emperor Jing Yi as soon as he finished speaking. On the battlefield of the Divine Tomb, Hierarch Xiaotian saw Ultimate God Heaven being suppressed. Although it was only a few 100,000 kilometers, he arrived in an instant. He raised his hand and punched his opponent's back, wanting him to give up on attacking Ultimate God Heaven. Lin Fei did not even look at him as he waved his hand. The Divine King Exploding Pearl dispersed and was aimed at Divine Lord Xiaotian. Boom! Boom! Hierarch Xiaotian's attack landed on his opponent's back. Just as he was rejoicing in his heart, a black dot suddenly appeared in front of him. A dangerous aura gushed forth, and the black dot erupted with a terrifying aura, blasting Hierarch Xiaotian away. No one can save you if I want to kill you, even if you're an avatar. No one can save you if I want to, even if use avatar. The Divine King Exploding Pearl's attack also landed on the two of them. The Sky Ultimate Gods had no defense at all and were heavily injured when the attack landed on them. The 2 and 6 Ultimate Gods in the distance had also noticed the situation there. Wasn't the first person to recognize the attacker? Wasn't that Tion? Why was he still standing there? He didn't seem to be injured at all. This was truly unbelievable. They had seen the Divine Emperor attack with their own eyes. A finger could shatter a layer of space. The terrifying attack power was enough to kill any peak Divine King expert. Attacking in space was something they could not do. Everyone, hurry up and help. We'll be in a lot of trouble if this kid doesn't die. Avatars, stop them. Lin Fei shouted. 18 primordial avatars flew out in groups of 3 and blocked in front of the 6th divine god. Each of the 18 primordial avatars was at the Divine King realm but had yet to reach peak 9 stars Divine King. After all, this was a terrifying bottomless pit. Fortunately, they were at the 7 stars Divine King realm. It was more than enough to stop them for a while. Ultimate God Heaven was badly injured. He could not believe this kid dared to resist Ultimate God Xiutian's attack. Most importantly, he was not injured at all. His attacks were still so fierce and his divine power was almost depleted. Kid, you're strong, but you're dead if you kill my avatar. The 8 divine emperors went after Hun Dun, but they were either killed or suppressed. I think you're strong. As long as you don't attack again, I'll protect you in front of the divine emperors. Ultimate God Heaven secretly cursed his bad luck. How did Hun Dun have such a fierce subordinate? He also saw the 18 avatars were blocking the ultimate gods and could only delay them. As long as the 6 ultimate god avatars arrived, they would definitely be able to injure the other party. Lin Fei wasn't interested in that. Furthermore, what credibility did his words have? If he could kill as many as he could, then so be it. Besides, he was the one who started it all. Trying to delay? Do you really think I'm a fool? Lin Fei unleashed dozens of slashes at the Heaven Ultimate God's body. I'll kill you sooner or later. Ultimate God Heaven's divine power was exhausted and naturally could not resist Lin Fei's attack. His entire body was blasted into pieces. Coincidentally, the other Ultimate God avatars also rushed out at this time. Lin Fei turned and pounced toward the nearest Ultimate God Xiutian. Good timing. Ultimate God Xiutian originally wanted to help Ultimate God Heaven but was tricked by his opponent. The Divine King Exploding Pearl's power also injured him. When he turned around and saw that Ultimate God Heaven had been beheaded, he felt that it was impossible. How could Ultimate God Heaven be that fast? Kid, you're courting death. Ultimate God Xiutian was furious when he saw the other party rushing toward him. He would not be suppressed like Ultimate God Heaven. Slow down time. As soon as Lin Fei rushed up, he mobilized the heaven and earth energy and used a secret technique. Ultimate God Xiutian was shrouded by the power of time and his movements instantly slowed down. With Lin Fei's peak Divine King strength, its power could not be underestimated. If Ultimate God Xiutian's original body came down, he could easily break through. Unfortunately, he was a peak Divine King and it was not so easy to break through. Not good. This is slow down time. Ultimate God Xiutian's thoughts moved, but his body's movements began to slow down. He then saw the giant saber slash his body and the battle suit on his body was full of cracks. Don't worry, I'll send you back one by one. I can't beat the Divine Emperor, but I can't beat all of you. Lin Fei slashed more than a dozen times at Ultimate God Xiutian. The divine power in his body was instantly consumed by more than half. Without the support of divine power, the battle suit's defense was reduced by more than half. Ultimate God Xiutian did not expect this person to be so powerful. He even mastered such a powerful time force, which should only be mastered by a controller. The 6 ultimate gods broke through the avatar's obstruction and rushed up. Time cage. Lin Fei used another time technique. A huge cage trapped the 6 ultimate god avatars. Even if it was only for a moment, Lin Fei was already satisfied. Not good, he's a controller. Chapter 1846. The reason why controllers were so dangerous was because they could master special bloodline abilities at a deeper level. The ultimate god avatar's strength was not bad. Relatively speaking, it was stronger than a peak god king and had a more perfect grasp of a god king's combat power. Naturally, its power would increase accordingly. It was a pity that they had encountered Tion, who was not an ordinary peak stage god king. As soon as the time cage appeared, they lost their chance to help and could only watch helplessly as the ultimate god Heaven was killed. While they were furious, their hearts were filled with helplessness. That was the danger of being a controller. They had a great advantage in time and could reverse the situation in the shortest time possible. Hurry up and break the time cage. We must kill this guy. Lin Fei killed the ultimate god Heaven avatar and did not expect the ultimate god Godhead to drop. This was also within reason. After all, it was just a clone. It's your turn. Lin Fei turned around and faced the other ultimate god avatar with a murderous aura, ultimate god Xiutian. Divine level blade slash. Ultimate god Xiutian's expression was extremely ugly. He could not imagine that this guy could be so strong and easily kill the ultimate god Heaven avatar. Who's going to kill who, we still don't know. Ultimate god Xiutian was still very confident in his strength. He did not believe that this kid could constantly launch powerful attacks. Without replenishing his divine power, he could seriously injure the other party. This was also the only chance. However, Ultimate God Xiutian had underestimated Lin Fei's strength. In terms of divine power, no one present could compare. Blade slash after blade slash came, leaving only blade gleams between heaven and earth. Ultimate God Xiutian was also having a hard time resisting. What made him curse the most was that this kid kept using time deceleration but could not block it. Die. Another time deceleration fell on Ultimate God Xiutian. Lin Fei's giant blade slash had already slashed on Ultimate God Xiutian's body and cut him into two. I'll kill you sooner or later. Ultimate God Xiutian threw these words and completely stopped breathing. Lin Fei found it funny. I've heard too many threats, hee. Outside God Thunder Mountain. Hierarch Xiutian's body shook, and he slowly opened his eyes. Boundless anger surged into the sky. This kid really deserves to die. Hierarch Xiutian was very unwilling. A dignified hierarch avatar was killed by a brat. How could he accept this? Xiutian, your doppelganger is dead too? Heaven Ultimate God also walked over with a gloomy face. He was also full of resentment when he first came back. Why was he the only one among the 8 ultimate gods who came back dead? It made the divine kings outside look at him strangely. Seeing Ultimate God Xiutian's return, Ultimate God Heaven felt a little better. After all, he was not the only one who died. Ultimate God Heaven felt a little better but still said with a gloomy face. Hierarch Xiutian did not see through Ultimate God Heaven's thought. He gritted his teeth and said, "We really misjudged him this time. That guy controls the power of time. It's clear he has the time bloodline. He'll be an amazing controller in the future. Unfortunately, that guy is hiding below. This kid is really something. I don't know where the chaos found him from. If he really becomes an ultimate god, his time power will be even more terrifying and can completely affect us ultimate gods. This kind of person must be killed." Heaven Ultimate God was also full of killing intent. Let's see if they can do anything about it. Hierarch Xiutian said helplessly. His heart was also filled with a sense of crisis. As an ultimate god, as long as the Divine Emperor did not appear, there were very few people who could make him feel fear. The controller was one of them. I hope so. Even Ultimate God Heaven can't guarantee it now. Bastard. After a while, one of the ultimate gods opened his eyes and cursed. The killing intent he emitted made the divine kings in the distance break out in cold sweat. Zui Yun, your doppelganger is also dead? Ultimate God Heaven asked. Ultimate God Zhuiyun was a subordinate of the profound Saint Divine Emperor. That kid is too terrifying. His combat strength is strong and his saber is fierce. It's hard to resist. He also keeps using time deceleration. How are we supposed to fight him? Ultimate God Zhuiyun shook his head helplessly. Ultimate God Zhuiyun had not encountered this kind of thing many times. It was very infuriating. It seems that the other ultimate gods are also in danger. Hierarch Xiutian had a bad feeling. 3 of the 8 ultimate gods had returned, not to mention the remaining 5. Sure enough, Hierarch Xiutian's words were verified in a short while. The other 5 ultimate gods opened their eyes one after another. They had lost contact with their doppelgangers in the lower realm. Although losing one doppelganger was not a big deal, it was still very frustrating. This is too hateful. That kid is too strange. And he has 18 doppelgangers. Each of them has cultivated to the same realm. If they break through to the ultimate god realm in the future, it will be too terrifying. They had never seen such a terrifying guy. Not only was his combat strength ferocious, but he also mastered the time bloodline and had 18 doppelgangers. It was not a big deal for one person, but when all of them appeared together, it was really too terrifying. The most incredible thing was the 18 doppelgangers. 18 doppelgangers was not a lot in the divine realm. Some ultimate gods cultivated a doppelganger cultivation technique and had hundreds or even tens of thousands of doppelgangers. There were all these, but their combat strength was far inferior to this kid's doppelgangers. What do we do now? Ultimate God Heaven said, we didn't complete the task given by His Majesty the Divine Emperor. What should we do? Everyone did not know what to do after Ultimate God Heaven said that. They thought it would be an easy task, but it ended just like that. They did not know how to explain it. Once the Divine Emperor was angry, they were very clear about the consequences. Hierarch Xiutian suddenly said, there is a way, but do you dare to go again? What way? As long as we can deal with that kid. That kid's origin is mysterious and his combat strength is exceptionally strong. As long as we keep attacking him and exhaust his divine power, no matter how strong he is, what can he do? Hierarch Xiutian said fiercely, I don't believe that the divine power in his body won't be exhausted. This method was stupid, but it was very practical to use. Good idea, let's continue. Don't give that kid any time to rest. The 8 ultimate gods moved again. They wanted to drag it out with that kid to see who could last longer. He only lost one doppelganger, they could afford it. It would not take long for them to recover. In the lower realm, Lin Fei killed 8 ultimate gods' doppelgangers in one go and heaved a long sigh of relief. Finally, I can relax a little. The 8 ultimate gods' doppelgangers were not easy to deal with. Lin Fei knew this better than anyone. He also had a certain advantage. Under normal circumstances, it would be very difficult to kill them. The people in the 8 gates of gods in the distance also breathed a sigh of relief. This Dition was indeed amazing. He could kill ultimate gods' doppelgangers so easily. He must be an expert of the younger generation in the divine realm. Rumble, rumble. Not long after, the ultimate gods' doppelgangers descended again. Chapter 1847. The 8 ultimate gods arrived very quickly. As soon as they came out of the passage of gods, their murderous intent locked onto Dition. All kinds of treasures were brought out and killed many of Lin Fei's divine king experts on the spot. An ultimate god's avatar was still very powerful. Lin Fei's body froze in that instant. F***ck, here we go again. The ultimate god's murderous intent surged as he activated a treasure and charged toward Dition. Kid, I'll kill you today. The treasure blasted onto Lin Fei's body. These guys are really shameless. They're trying to take me down by taking turns to fight me. Lin Fei immediately understood what was going on. He activated his invincible defense and took the attack head-on. The attack also sent Lin Fei flying. The ultimate god took the opportunity to attack and thought, how can we give you a chance to fight back this time? That attack just now will definitely leave a wound. I don't have to worry about not being able to kill this kid. As Lin Fei was sent flying backward, the ultimate god of heaven once again took out his treasure and attacked. It was like taking advantage of someone's weakness. The ultimate god was the first to attack. The other 7 ultimate god avatars breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, they managed to injure the kid. This was also an attack method they came up with before coming down here. Bang! The ultimate god Heaven, who was the first to attack, was sent flying backward. At the same time, a figure pounced on him. You want to kill me? I'll torture you to death today. The silhouette continued to curse and attack, while slashing at the Heaven ultimate god's body with his giant door-sized saber. Quick attack! Everyone could not calm down when they saw the ultimate god's state. Wasn't this kid injured? How could he still be so fierce? Lin Fei did not deal with the 7 ultimate god avatars' attacks this time. Instead, he attacked the ultimate god Heaven. Every slash landed on the ultimate god's body, causing the ultimate god to suffer in silence. Bastard, why isn't this guy's divine power decreasing? Each slash was enough to overwhelm a Heaven ultimate god and deplete his divine power very quickly. It was estimated that his divine power would be depleted after a few more slashes. When he saw Hierarch Xiutian and the others charging over, he was overjoyed. Brat, you can't kill me. Last time was just a cheap trick. The Sky Ultimate God desperately resisted. I'd like to see how long you can last with this kind of attack. Lin Fei disdainfully said, I'll kill you in 3 slashes. Another saber fell. Hierarch Xiutian and the others' attacks also arrived, all landing on Lin Fei's body. At that moment, Lin Fei had activated his invincible defense, and it was very easy for him to block the attack. After all, they were only peak Divine King attacks and not ultimate god level attack. Slow down time. Lin Fei threw out a time deceleration and landed another blow on the ultimate god of sky's body. With 2 slashes, the ultimate god of sky was once again blown into pieces. As it was an energy body without any flesh and blood, the ultimate god of sky was killed on the spot as soon as his divine power was depleted. Lin Fei turned around and laughed. Now it's your turn. The 7 ultimate gods gasped in their hearts and only had one thought at that moment. This kid's defense is too strong. He blocked all 7 of their attacks just like that. Even an ultimate god expert wouldn't dare to do that. Not long after, the 7 ultimate god avatars were killed one after another. Lin Fei stood in the sky with a strong murderous intent. These bastards wasted a lot of my divine power again. Lin Fei cursed at the passage of the gods. For Lin Fei, it was best to use as little divine power as possible. However, these shameless ultimate gods took turns to fight him, which made Lin Fei very unhappy. How could they be ultimate god experts? Boom boom boom! Without waiting for Lin Fei to catch his breath, another 8 ultimate god avatars appeared in the passage of the god. They were the same 8 as before. Kid, I've said that I'll kill you on the spot today. The ultimate god of sky laughed and charged toward Lin Fei. The 8 ultimate gods fought Tian. Losing one avatar was not a big deal. They had a great advantage in the divine realm. It was destined to be a long battle. The immortal kings on the battlefield of the tomb of the god of sin also saw this scene. The 8 avatars of the divine venerables were killed one after another, and then reappeared again and again. There was almost no pause. The result was the same. They were killed by Lin Fei on the spot. The battle lasted for a day and a night. After killing them again, Lin Fei narrowed his eyes and stared at the passage of the gods. Damn it, when the warship is ready, I'll make you regret it. Lin Fei used up a lot of divine power after a day and a night. Fortunately, the ultimate god minor magnate who had worked with him before sent him a new day's rent after the 8 ultimate god avatars were killed one after another. he more or less replenished his divine power. Soon, there's only half a day left. Lin Fei felt relieved when he saw the system notification. It was just a battle of attrition. Let's see who could last longer. Not long later, the 8 ultimate god avatars attacked again. They were determined to fight Lin Fei and would not give Lin Fei any time to catch his breath. In their opinion, the kid would not last much longer. As long as he could hold on a little longer, they would be able to kill him. The few of them really wanted to figure out what kind of cultivation method this brat had cultivated and why his divine power was boundless. He was still a peak divine king with endless divine power. If he became an ultimate god, he would be able to fight several ultimate gods at once. How could they survive? They also wanted to get their hands on the cultivation technique. If they did it well, their strength would increase by a lot. They might even become the strongest below the god emperors. After all, the strength of one's divine power was related to one's realm. At their ultimate god realm, they would not miss an opportunity to increase their strength. They were ready to risk it all for this. The more they fought, the more frightened the 8 ultimate god avatars became. This is too scary. This kid seems to have endless divine power. We must kill him. After he was killed again, he came back. Their faces were already numb. They had never tasted the feeling of being killed again and again. The ultimate gods' faces were also showing signs of fatigue due to the large amount of divine power they had consumed. They would not give up now that they had come this far. They had to continue. They would refine some divine power before charging down again. They would not give their opponent a chance to absorb divine stones. In their opinion, the kid would not last long. Maybe he was at the end of his rope. After all, refining divine stones was not easy. There was not enough divine power in the lower realm for the kid to absorb. Hence, the 8 ultimate god avatars attacked again. When they reached the lower realm and came out of the passage of gods, they saw the kid smiling at them. Chapter 1848. The 8 ultimate god avatars did not expect the other party to say something like that. Everyone, don't be fooled. This kid must have run out of divine power and is stalling for time. Ultimate God Heaven laughed. We can definitely kill him on the spot this time. Everyone was tempted. They had died countless times in the battle that lasted more than a day and night. Every attack they arranged was easily broken by the other party. Now that they had finally found an opportunity, they did not doubt Ultimate God Heaven's words. Kid, you've killed us so many times. Now it's your turn. I wonder if you can do it again and again. Ultimate God Xiutian sneered. I'm afraid you don't have that ability. A mere peak god king dares to be so presumptuous. Kill. The 8 ultimate god avatars swarmed forward. It was better to give the other party time to refine divine stones. Kill him first. Their hearts were filled with rage towards this kid. They would feel uncomfortable for the rest of their lives if they did not kill the kid. Only by killing him would they feel better. Once the kid became an ultimate god in the future, it would be difficult for them to make a name for themselves. It was even possible that they would be killed in the future. They were very clear on this point. Although they knew the other party was very strong, the 8 ultimate god avatars did not take it seriously. In the long run, they would definitely win. You guys have a death wish. Lin Fei sneered. With a wave of his hand, a silver-white warship suddenly appeared in front of them. A terrifying aura rushed toward the 8 ultimate god avatars. It's that strange warship. I don't think so. Everyone, be careful. There's something strange about this kid. The 8 ultimate god avatars reacted quickly. Lin Fei leaped up and stood on the silver-white warship. The smoothness of the warship was very satisfying. Smash them. Lin Fei ordered Battle Number 1 to attack. Roger. The silver-white warship was even more domineering and ferocious than the previous black warship. Whoosh. The warship immediately displayed a terrifying speed. The 8 ultimate god avatars only saw a flash of white before they were sent flying. More than half of their divine power was consumed in an instant. All of them were shocked. Superalloy, not bad. With this collision, Lin Fei could see the beauty of it. Its power was not to be underestimated. The second attack began. Another white shadow flashed by. The 8 divine venerable avatars were horrified to find that they could not dodge the attack in time and were directly hit by it. This saves me a lot of trouble. 2 consecutive collisions. The 8 ultimate god avatars were smashed into pieces. Lin Fei gasped at the level of impact. Oh my god, a modified hull is so powerful! In the past, although the warships also had decent impact power, it was far less terrifying than it was now. Lin Fei could also see that the collision just now had cleared away a large portion of his opponent's divine power, causing him to be unable to replenish his divine power. That was why he had been killed by the second collision. Master, this super alloy hull has more than just simple impact and defense capabilities. The little demon jumped out with a proud look on his face. Lin Fei was shocked. There are other abilities? Of course. The little demon entered the warship and Lin Fei followed. Finally, they stopped at the divine power pool. Do you see that ball of light? That's the divine power that I just plundered from them. This is the super alloy hull. It's a very powerful ability. Lin Fei's eyes widened. You're saying that the superalloy can absorb divine power? Ha ha ha, now you know the power of the superalloy. Lin Fei was shocked, but then he clapped his hands and cheered. This is good. It's equivalent to clearing blue. In the past, Lin Fei had played a game called Legend of Mir. In it, there was a skill to clear blue. As long as the opponent's blue was cleared, no matter how high their level was, they would still be beaten. Lin Fei did not think that the warship would have such an awesome ability. Lin Fei was very satisfied with the superalloy hull. Moreover, the gravitational field below and the other function would be very useful. It should be easy to go to the divine realm now, right? Lin Fei asked the little demon. Of course. Lin Fei was very satisfied with the little demon's answer. Come, let's go to the divine realm. I've used up so much divine power. It's about time I get some back. Let's go. The silver-white hull turned into a stream of light and rushed into the passage of the gods. What the hell? What the hell? How could that strange warship have such a terrifying attack power? My divine power seems to have been depleted without any warning. How could such a strange thing happen? When the 8 ultimate gods opened their eyes, they all had a look of disbelief on their faces. The battle just now had been too short, and no one had been able to react in time. They had been killed on the spot inexplicably. Then are we still going down? One of the ultimate gods asked. That was too strange. At this time, they could not help but hesitate. Last time, they had suffered a small loss from the strange warship, but not as much as this time. They were killed in a head-on collision. The silver-white warship had become strange. They were killed in 2 short collisions. How could this thing not be strange? They had never seen such a strange thing. They were hesitant whether to go down or not. If they were killed by the silver-white warship after going down, they did not know where to hide their faces. We have to go down. The ultimate god of heaven gritted his teeth. It's just a warship. How powerful can it be? This time, the ultimate god of heaven did not have much confidence in his words. Tion was already difficult to kill. With the addition of the silver-white warship, it was like adding wings to a tiger, making it even more difficult to deal with. They were not controllers, so it was even more difficult to suppress the warship. Ha ha ha, divine realm, I'm coming. Before they could discuss, the passage of the gods shook and a silver-white warship appeared outside the passage. On the warship stood the guy who made them gnash their teeth. Damn it, that kid is coming up. They had never seen anyone who could come up from the lower realm so easily. The ultimate god of heaven grinned. Kid, I can't do anything to you in the lower realm, but in the divine realm, I call the shots. Boom. The ultimate god of heaven was the first to attack. The ultimate god's combat power was fully unleashed. A terrifying killing intent locked onto Lin Fei like a mountain pressing down on him. It was far more terrifying than a peak divine king expert. Ha ha ha, what's so great about an ultimate god? Lin Fei laughed and ordered Battle Number 1 to activate the gravitational field. Activate the gravitational field. Whoosh. Chapter 1849. The 8 ultimate gods did not think someone would dare to chase after them. But someone actually did it. They didn't know whether they should say that this kid was audacious or stupid. In the lower worlds, their strength was restricted by the heavenly Tao, and they couldn't unleash 100% of their strength. But in the immortal world, they were mighty hierarchs with powerful battle prowess. They didn't care about peak stage God King realm experts at all. The ultimate god Heaven was the first to attack. The other ultimate gods secretly cursed the ultimate god Heaven for being shameless. They were too busy talking and did not make the first move. If they killed the kid and snatched his stuff, it would not be so easy for them to reap any benefit. After the Heaven ultimate god charged out, they immediately followed suit. They were unwilling to let the Heaven ultimate god take advantage of the situation and wanted everyone to take advantage of it. The ultimate god charged forward confidently. He threw a punch at the warship. The ultimate god Heaven dared not hold back after the small loss last time. He was afraid the kid would slip away. Whoosh! The gravitational field was activated. The ultimate god Heaven's body sank as if he was about to fall. He knew he had been hit when his terrifying speed was suppressed, but he did not think much of it. He was an ultimate god expert and he tried to shake off the gravitational field. Even a divine king would be injured by a godly venerable rank expert's strength. Unfortunately, the ultimate god Heaven was disappointed. No matter how hard he tried, the gravitational field still shrouded him and he could not shake it off. It indirectly affected his speed. What the hell? The 30% speed limit was not a big deal to the ultimate god Heaven, but it was still very annoying. The ultimate gods who came later were also trapped in the gravitational field and could not shake it off. It made them feel very helpless. Fortunately, their speed was not completely restricted. It was just a speed restriction. What was there to be afraid of? They were more concerned about the white warship at that moment. If they could control the warship, their combat power would increase greatly. The 30% speed limit was enough to suppress many ultimate god. Boom. Boom. An ultimate god expert's attack was still very terrifying. Level 4 Energy Shield, activate. Divine Power Pond, activate. Devour divine power with all your might. Lin Fei calmly commanded. When the ultimate god's attack came, the level 4 energy shield opened and formed a huge light shield to block the attack. The attack landed on the shield and gently shook, disintegrating the power. Awesome. Although he did not completely block the ultimate god's attack, Lin Fei was satisfied that he managed to block the most important part. Charge. The divine power pond absorbed the divine power crazily, and the divine power that filled the sky surged over. The area around the warship turned into a whirlpool as divine power poured in continuously. The divine king and the 8 godly venerable ones who were watching from afar were stunned. I finally understand. The last time my divine power was absorbed, it was because of this warship. Damn it, hurry up and stop the warship. If we let him absorb any more divine power, we'll have wasted our efforts. They had originally thought that they would definitely win, but now they had suffered a huge blow. Even they could not absorb divine powers at such a terrifying rate. After all, their divine bodies could not withstand so much divine powers. Once the amount was exceeded, they would explode and die, even if they were ultimate god experts. The warship absorbed the divine power like crazy and at the same time, crashed into the ultimate god experts. With the 30% speed limit, the distance between them was also shortened. The warship crashed into the ultimate god of heaven's body. I'm an ultimate god with a profound divine body. Just your warship alone. The ultimate God of heaven did not care at all. Halfway through his sentence, his expression changed drastically as he was sent flying. The ultimate God of heaven who was sent flying had a hard time. The impact caused cracks to appear on his divine body. The most incredible thing was that he had lost a portion of his divine power. If it was 100% of his divine power, he had lost about 10% of his divine power. The ultimate God's divine body is really strong. I wonder how many times you can last. Lin Fei appeared on the warship and laughed at the ultimate gods. Whoosh, whoosh. The warship was like a ferocious tiger as it kept attacking. The gravitational field was also playing its advantage as it kept crashing into the 8 ultimate god. The warship blocked some of the ultimate god's attacks and used the divine power it absorbed to repair the damaged areas. In the eyes of outsiders, no damage could be seen. Bang, bang, bang. The ultimate god experts were continuously sent flying. The divine kings who were preparing to enter the passage of gods looked at each other and could not believe what they were seeing. The 8 ultimate gods could not do anything to the warship and were continuously sent flying. As for their attacks, they seemed to be very weak as the warship was still intact until now. Ha ha, the ultimate gods are just SOSO. After sending 3 godly venerables flying again, Lin Fei changed his direction and crashed into the array formation's restriction formation. Whoosh, whoosh. These were all previously set up to stop the divine power from flowing down. Lin Fei had to break these restrictive formations since he came up here so that his trip would not be in vain. The warship had a superalloy hull. Not only was its defense stronger, but its attack power had also greatly increased. It crashed into the restrictive formation. Rumble. The restrictive formation's counterattack landed on the warship. Lin Fei's body only shook a little but was not injured. However, the restrictive formation cracked. Continue. Rumble. Rumble. The 8 ultimate gods tried to stop the warship several times but could not stop it from crashing into the restrictive formation. The restrictive formation, which thought it was strong, was like a piece of glass under the impact of the warship. It was broken into pieces in 2 or 3 hits. In less than a moment, the restrictive formation was riddled with holes and could not play its role as a seal anymore. Thick divine power flowed into the lower realm. The people of God's Thunder Mountain had never seen anyone break the restrictive formation with a warship. Even ultimate gods did not dare to do so. However, someone did and succeeded. The 8 ultimate gods were the most helpless. They could only watch helplessly. As soon as they rushed up, they were affected by the gravitational field. Then, they were bombarded by 1,000 cannons, forming a blockade that blocked them outside. It was not good to have so many mosquitoes. Faced with the non-stop attacks and the 30% speed restriction, they could not get close to the warship. Needless to say, their attacks were blocked. The sealing formation was broken, and the warship turned around again, heading towards the Divine King. Hee, you ultimate gods can do whatever you want in the lower realm. I can too. Ha! The warship crashed into a large group of divine kings. Boom, boom, boom. The beautiful sound was like a form of art, echoing in the sky. Lin Fei did not show any mercy. The 8 divine emperors went after Hun Dun. How could they miss such a good opportunity? A one-sided massacre began. The divine king's counterattack was also very weak. They could not stop the warship's impact. Chapter 1850. Last time, the heavenly gods and god-kings suffered great losses. Who would have thought that in such a short time, they would once again experience a one-sided battle? The white warship rushed over like a ferocious tiger, not giving them any chance. Every time they were hit, they would either be heavily injured or smashed into pieces. They could not even defend. When every god-king died, the divine power in their body would disappear completely. Without divine power, what else could they do? Last time, they could still resist for a while, but this time, they basically couldn't. Not to mention the terrifying impact, Just the gravitational field that pressed down on them made them unable to move. Even godly venerable experts' speed could be restricted by 30%, let alone god kings like them. Once they were suppressed by the gravitational field, their fates were sealed. Awesome, this is awesome. Lin Fei squinted his eyes in a very good mood. First, he absorbed a huge amount of divine power, followed by God King grade godheads. It could be said to be a great harvest. Last time, it was troublesome to kill them, but this time, it was a one-sided slaughter. The gravitational field was a great help, and almost no god king could escape. I can't kill godly venerables, but I can kill god kings. The superalloy body greatly increased its attack power, but it was still not enough to deal with godly venerables. They were too strong and not easy to deal with. Lin Fei was satisfied after wiping out the god kings, who asked him to be lacking god king fighters. In the battle of attrition, he had already expended a lot of god kings. If he didn't wipe them out now, he wouldn't have many god kings left. This time, the god kings deserved to be unlucky. The 8 divine emperors had mobilized tens of millions of god kings, and there were still millions of god kings left. In Lin Fei's eyes, they were a big piece of juicy meat. As the warship flew past, it wiped out a large number of god kings. Too scary. Run, or else we won't be able to leave. Don't kill me, I surrender. I surrender too. Faced with the warship's sweep, coupled with the god king's helplessness, the god kings suffered heavy casualties. They had never experienced such a one-sided attack. Counterattack? The attacks landed on the warship, but nothing happened. Instead, the warship's charge made them suffer heavy losses. The god kings began to show expressions of despair. The gravitational field also caused them to lose the chance to escape. They could only watch helplessly as they were killed. At this moment, they couldn't care less and chose to surrender. At least they could live. Lin Fei didn't need a god king to surrender. As long as he had a god king rank godhead, he could summon a god king. It was just a matter of strength, it didn't matter too much. In any case, they would be used as cannon fodder. There was no difference between surrendering and not surrendering. However, in the eyes of the 8 ultimate gods, it was a massacre. Millions of god kings were about to be annihilated at the hands of the other party. Right now, they were powerless. Once they got close to the warship, they would be suppressed by the warship's gravitational field. Not only would their speed be suppressed, but they would also be attacked by the warship. Long-range attacks were easily blocked. At this moment, they knew very well that it wouldn't be easy to deal with that brat. However, they didn't want to watch him slaughter godly monarchs. In the blink of an eye, there were heavy casualties. If all the god kings died, they wouldn't know how to answer to them. Let's hold him back and ask the controller to come. As long as the controller comes, he can be restrained in the divine realm and we'll deal with that brat sooner or later. The ultimate god of heaven said fiercely. Yes, that's a solution. Only the controller can suppress this guy. They had a solution soon. If all the god kings died, the god kings would be the first to blame them. Now, they could only hope for the controller to help. While contacting the controller, they attacked the warship at the same time to buy time. As long as the controller came, he would be able to restrain the warship. Lin Fei controlled the warship to continuously attack the god kings. This terrifying scene was also quickly spread out. Ever since the heaven pillars were broken, the upper echelons of the divine realm had been paying attention to the gods' lightning mountain. If the primal chaos really broke all the heaven pillars, the consequences would be absolutely terrifying. They had been paying attention. Millions of god kings and 8 ultimate gods continued to descend. This had cast a shadow over everyone's hearts. The white warship came out unafraid of the ultimate gods' attacks and wiped out the god kings. This shocked everyone. How could something like this happen? Seeing the white warship kill hundreds of god kings with a single charge, they frowned. God kings were also a mid-tier power in the divine realm. However, they were killed by the other party just like that. This was too terrifying. More people paid attention to the warship's terrifying ability. Everyone knew how terrifying the Battle Clan was in the past. However, they only targeted sky gods and god kings and rarely affected ultimate gods. If the white warship in front of them could be slightly more powerful, it could definitely cause great damage to ultimate gods. If they could get their hands on one or learn how to refine it, it would be a great help to their forces. There were also some ultimate gods who immediately recognized who the white warship belonged to after seeing it. They could not help but be overjoyed. The stronger Tion was, the more they liked it. This time, their eyes lit up and they were secretly happy. They did not fall out with Tion and maintained a good relationship. Perhaps they could get their hands on this warship in the future. This warship was too terrifying. Master, there's danger. Let's go down immediately. Little Fiend suddenly reminded Lin Fei. Lin Fei controlled the warship to kill almost 2/3 of the God Kings. The area outside the God Lightning Mountain was empty. Just as he was about to kill the remaining God Kings to vent his anger, he heard Little Fiend's voice. Danger! Lin Fei was addicted to killing and was a little annoyed. In the next second, a terrifying power enveloped the warship and stopped its attack. This is time slowing down, and it's a ultimate god controller. Lin Fei secretly cursed. No one knew better than him what this meant. He had been so focused on collecting God King level godheads that he had forgotten that this was the divine realm and there were controllers here. Ha ha ha, the controller is here. That kid is dead for sure. The 8 ultimate gods finally heaved a sigh of relief. The warship slowed down and the attack stopped. They knew who had arrived. Only a controller's Tao of Time could easily suppress this warship. In less than a few breaths, a silver-armored ultimate god appeared on the horizon and floated over. As soon as this silver-armored ultimate god appeared, cheers came from the god kings who were on the verge of despair. Great, the controller is here. We're fine. The surviving god kings cheered. Silver-armored ultimate god strolled over, a long river of time flowing behind him. A mere person from the lower realm dares to cause trouble in the divine realm? You don't know your place. As soon as silver-armored ultimate god arrived, the long river of time behind him moved and turned into a long saber. The saber slashed at the silver-white warship, and a huge hole appeared on the huge body of the warship. Chapter 1851. Just one slash. A huge hole appeared in the superalloy hull. Lin Fei was also injured. Is this the power of a controller? This was the first time Lin Fei had encountered an attack from a controller. His invincible defense was half a beat too late and he was injured and vomited blood. Lin Fei also showed a serious expression. Lin Fei had long heard about controllers. They were existences even stronger than ultimate gods. Now it seemed that the rumors were true. Controllers were indeed very powerful. Powerful time power shrouded the warship. Lin Fei could easily feel that it was far stronger than his own time power. What a controller! Isn't that just bullying the weak? Just wait until I reach the ultimate god realm. Let's see who's going to bully who. Lin Fei laughed loudly. Lin Fei was not afraid of the other party. The controller appeared and broke the warship's hull with one move. The 8 ultimate gods secretly gasped. The controller was more than a level stronger than them. They had no choice but to admit defeat. Their attacks could not break the warship's defense at all. The controller broke it so easily. They could not do it, and it was done so easily. Those who could become ultimate gods were not weak, but compared to the time bloodline, the difference was too big. Brother Shuekai, the guy inside the warship, is from the chaos side. Please capture him and don't kill him. Ultimate God Sky said. We suspect that this kid knows many secrets. We must capture him and interrogate him. It's best if we can spare his life. Ultimate God Xiaotian added. Seeing that the kid was no match for the controller, the other ultimate gods quickly voiced their opinions. At this time, even if it was embarrassing, they had to say it. If the kid inside was killed, they would be the ones at a loss. The silver-armored ultimate god Shui Kai only glanced coldly at them. I only have an idea on how to deal with him. I don't need you to say anything else. You're too disappointing. The controllers had always looked down on Ultimate God. Especially at this time, Hierarch Shui Kai looked down on them. Not only did they fail to stop a person from the lower domain from causing such a ruckus, but they also had to ask for his help. Hierarch Shui Kai despised them even more. A hint of dissatisfaction flashed in the eyes of the 8 ultimate gods, but they did not vent it out and could only endure it. After all, they were no match for the controllers. As soon as they finished speaking, Lin Fei's voice came from within the warship. The 8 ultimate gods sneered after hearing that. This kid was courting death. He even dared to insult the controller. They did not even have to do anything, as the controller would kill him on the spot. This time, it would be difficult for them to stop it. What arrogance! No wonder you're so arrogant. Hierarch Shui Kai sneered. The river of time behind him moved again. I'll break your turtle shell first. Let's see how arrogant you can be then. Whoosh whoosh. Time was like a knife, cutting into the warship. The level 4 energy shield and the superalloy hull all experienced a time delay. A few more holes appeared on the silver warship in an instant. In front of me, a time controller, any defense is useless. No one can dodge the attack of time. Hierarch Shui Kai said disdainfully. Even if the warship in front of him was strange, he would not look at it directly because he was a time controller. Lin Fei, who was inside the warship, was affected by time. His movements slowed down, but his thoughts did not. A time controller is indeed very powerful. My warship's defense was not even activated before it was invaded by time. The warship has finally met its match. Lin Fei began to analyze the situation. Battle number 1, repair the holes first. Lin Fei knew that he had encountered a strong enemy, especially one that was a time controller. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Divine power circulated and the damaged parts of the warship gradually began to repair. However, the repair speed was not as fast as expected. Damn the power of time. Stop the superalloy hull from repairing. The warship's repair speed was not fast. Lin Fei was so anxious that he cursed. Attack. Lin Fei could not think of a suitable way to fight against the time controller. He also understood why little fiends said that there was danger. A time controller could suppress the warship. Boom, boom, boom. 1,000 cannons fired without stopping. The sky full of attacks locked onto the distant silver-armored time controller. Hierarch Shui Kai smiled faintly. Is that all? Too weak. The light beam attacks stopped in front of Hierarch Shui Kai. They were all fixed in the void. Time rebound. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The light beams changed direction and hit the warship. In an instant, the warship was submerged in attack. F***CK. That's possible. Lin Fei sucked in a breath of cold air. This time controller was a little too strong. Lower realm person, use whatever skills you have. Otherwise, you won't have a chance. Hierarch Shui Kai stepped forward. No one has ever dared to act strong in front of me. Bang, bang. As Hierarch Shui Kai walked over, the river of time attacked. The warship was full of holes caused by the invasion of time. This power could not be resisted at all. Screw it. Lin Fei clearly realized that the warship could not display its power for the time being. His opponent was a time controller and could easily suppress everything. Only if he made a move would he have a chance. The entrance to the passage of the gods was nearby. As long as he returned to the lower realm, even the most powerful time controller would not be able to deal with him. Wah! The river of time attacked the warship once again. Suddenly, the warship disappeared. The river of time fell. The black-robed Lin Fei appeared in his original position. The moment he appeared, he kept moving. Time deceleration. Lin Fei's speed was very fast. He used time deceleration. God-tier blade slash. To deal with such a time controller, Lin Fei had to deal with him as soon as possible. The terrifying blade light slashed toward Hierarch Shuekai's head. A strange look flashed in Hierarch Shuekai's eyes. He was a little surprised. So you also have a time bloodline. It's just that your realm is not high enough. Your time deceleration is useless against me. The blade light in front of him was also fixed in midair. Let me teach you what true time deceleration is. Hierarch Shuekai walked over. Your time deceleration is only 200 times, but mine is 1,000 times. Boom! Lin Fei was instantly shrouded by the power of time. His surroundings were like mud, fixing him in midair. No matter how he struggled, he could not regain his freedom. What a terrifying time deceleration! Is this what he means by 1,000 times? Hierarch Shuekai was close to Lin Fei. I don't like people with the time bloodline. I won't let someone with the time bloodline grow. So, you can only die. Chapter 1852. This battle made those godly kings suck in a cold breath of air. Everyone knew how powerful the controllers were. In terms of status, they were even above the ultimate gods. There was no comparison between the two. It was not difficult to become an ultimate god. As long as one's bloodline was not bad, coupled with a large amount of resources, one could basically become an ultimate god. However, there were strict requirements for one's bloodline to become a controller. Becoming a controller was not an easy task. Any controller was stronger than the divine venerable ones because they possessed powerful bloodline powers. Time controllers were even more unique existences in the field of control. The Earth Controller, Flame Controller, and so on were no match for the Time Controller. No matter how strong one's attacks were, they couldn't escape from a temporal attack. If someone wanted to kill you, it would be as easy as turning over a finger. Because of that, there was a saying in the God world. It was fine to offend a divine being, but never ever offend a controller, especially a special one. This saying had been circulating all this time. There were very few people who had actually seen a controller in action. But today, everyone finally witnessed the terrifying power of the time controller, suppressing his opponent in a few moves and seizing the initiative. Everyone present knew how terrifying the warship was. Killing them was as easy as chopping vegetables. Now that they were finally going to die at the hands of the controller, everyone cheered again. Kill him! Kill him, we must kill him! Kill the people from the lower realms! Their voices joined together in an instant. The 8 ultimate gods could only watch and did not dare to speak. If it was an ordinary ultimate god, they might have taken action. It was not a big deal to offend them since they had a strong backing. But against a time controller, there was nothing they could do. It was fine if the other party did not give them face. The controllers did not need to give face to ordinary ultimate gods either. If they really offended them, it would be a small matter if they were to be humiliated in public. If they were to be killed on the spot, it would be in vain. The God Emperor wouldn't go against the ruler for his sake. Everyone in the God realm knew that controllers could survive a God Emperor's attack. Even the divine emperors were secretly afraid of the special controllers. One could imagine how high the status of the special controllers was. The 8 ultimate gods could only sigh in pity. If he could obtain the method to refine the warship, it would also be a gain. The River of Time attacked. Everyone was certain that this kid was dead meat. If he dared to be arrogant in front of the time controller, he would be courting death. No one could help him. Escaping from the hands of the time controller? That's just a dream. Just as the River of Time was about to cut Lin Fei's eyes emitted a terrifying light as he stared at Hierarch Shuekai. I'll remember you. I'll kill you sooner or later. That day won't be too far away. Whoosh! The River of Time's attack missed. Hierarch Shuekai watched as the other party left. You actually managed to escape from my power of time? Hierarch Shuekai was slightly stunned. The River of Time moved again and slashed at a space near the Passage of Gods. I underestimated you. So you are a dual bloodline controller. Whoosh! Instantly there was an uproar. The 8 ultimate gods were stunned on the spot. Dual bloodline controller? What kind of joke was that? In the blink of an eye, Lin Fei tumbled out of the void, blood oozing out of the corners of his mouth, as he shot toward the passageway of the Legion of Gods. Space-time reversal. As he rushed toward the passage of gods, Lin Fei used space-time reversal on Hierarch Shuekai. The space around Hierarch Shuekai instantly changed, as though it was about to become another space. He took a step forward and the power of time surged. The changing space around him suddenly stopped. He actually knows space-time reversal. He almost succeeded. Hierarch Shuekai could only watch helplessly as the other party entered the passage of gods. He had calculated everything, but he had not expected the other party to have a spatial bloodline. Time controllers were very powerful, but there was one bloodline that he could not deal with easily. That was the spatial bloodline. Space was not affected by time. Time controllers were the most helpless against spatial controllers because they could use space to escape from time. Hierarch Shuekai had not expected that the other party not only had the time bloodline, but also the spatial bloodline. Any one of them was enough to make others envious. Now that they had fallen into the hands of a single person, how terrifying was that? Lin Fei fled into the passage of gods. The 8 godly venerable ones were no longer calm. Dual bloodline controllers were rare even in the divine realm. It would be a piece of cake for such a controller to kill a godly venerable. Damn it, why is that guy a dual bloodline controller? If he advances to the hierarch realm and improves his bloodline, we won't be his match. That kid is too cunning. At first, they did not want Hierarch Shuekai to kill the other party. But now, they could not wait for the other party to be killed. Letting such an enemy go would be a huge disaster in the future. They did not even dare to criticize Hierarch Shuekai for not killing the other party. If they were to be blamed, it would be a tragedy. Taoist Shuekai, what should we do? One of the hierarchs frowned. It would have been fine if they did not know that he was a dual bloodline controller. But now that they knew, they felt uneasy. They all knew how ferocious this kid was. He could easily kill his way up from the lower realm and go down from the divine world. He had many tricks up his sleeve, and they could not defend against him. Hierarch Shuekai was also very angry. He knew better than anyone how terrifying a dual bloodline controller was. Yet, this kid had escaped from his hands. Hierarch Shuekai would not ignore the last words he left behind. He could easily resist the opponent's power of time because he was a controller and a godly venerable one. His bloodline had been upgraded and he was not affected by the power of time. Just now, if his power of time was not stronger, he would have been struck by the space-time reversal and banished to another place. I have a plan for this. Don't worry. Hierarch Shuekai said lightly. Tell me everything you know about this kid's situation. Cough, cough, cough. Back in the lower realm. With Lin Fei's massacre in the passage of the gods, the battle in the divine mausoleum also came to an end. Lin Fei's subordinates had killed most of them. Luckily, space and time are different. His time can't affect space. Otherwise, it would be terrible. Lin Fei secretly rejoiced. Other than the God Emperor, this ruler is not easy to deal with. This was Lin Fei's first time fighting with a ruler. He realized how powerful they were, especially a time controller. Their power of time was much stronger than the current power of time. No wonder those Hierarch Shuekai were so polite. There was a reason. Little devil, can I also increase the power of my bloodline?